matter today, and there are many things I can think about, including the position of the President regarding the Minister of Justice. We'll talk about that around 20 to 4, right? But let's get to this issue here. The MK Party, Mkhonto sees where their youth league, well, they say they're rather worried that recent developments in the political space involving Floyd Shivambu's move from the EFF to Zuma's MK Party, remember I called it the political transfer of the season. Well, they say that move may disrupt the unity and the overall assignment of the Progressive Caucus in Parliament. What exactly do they mean by all of that? So, Nkateko Mkabela is with me, spokesperson of the Mkhonto Wesizwe Party's Youth League. Appreciate your time. You're connected to the National Pulse.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good indeed. Right. So how are you? I mean, are you? What are you concerned about?
Look, we as the Youth League of Mkhonto Party are worried that the whole establishment of the Progressive Caucus might be in jeopardy because of what certain leaders have now been saying, not necessarily inside the Progressive Caucus, but outside of it. And you must remember that at the crux of it, the caucus was established with the clear objective of opposing an elite pact, being the Government of National Unity. And with that comes mutual respect and responsibility across all parties. So now, when there's a certain leader or a party who's now making unnecessary noise, it kind of takes away from the purpose of the Progressive Caucus.
Okay, so which leader are you talking about? What sort of noises is he or she making?
Look, it's pretty clear which leader has been on a heartbreak tour. He is the leader of the Red Berets, so it goes without saying that we're referring to Julius Malema.
Okay, so what is Malema saying that so concerns you?
It's concerning because not only is he attacking certain individuals who have chosen to make individual choices that benefit the movement and the revolution, but he's also gunning after Mkhonto Wesizwe, which in true essence have nothing to do with the issues that he's referring to. So for us as the Youth League, we are of the notion that as a true leader, he should be focusing on the pursuit of the Progressive Charter and most importantly, the unification of Black people instead of being divisive, because that's not what a true leader does.
Okay, let me turn this around. I mean, we can discuss the details of what he's saying, but why would he not be aggrieved when a key member of his party has transferred to another party? I mean, what did you expect him to say? Join the MK Party. He's
well within his rights to do so. However, what he needs to understand is that he's leading a progressive party. So for him to essentially utilize the platform for his emotional tantrums, it's unbecoming. So a true leader, when faced with challenges, pulls back, regroups, and then focuses on the tasks at hand. Whatever issues that you have with that person, deal with it on a side basis and not on a platform that stands to put the work that everybody's coming together to deal with in jeopardy.
Okay, how did you expect him to respond? I mean, when a key member had moved, I mean, like, is there a case study, a copy and paste to say this is how you must respond, considering you and that same party, that's the EFF and the MK Party, are part of a bigger progressive pact that we've committed to? I mean, what's the template?
Look, there is no template, but like we said, we're saying obviously there is a way that a leader carries himself, and we've seen how he carries himself previously. So we understand that there's an emotional attachment here. However, again, when a true leader is faced with challenges, you pull back and you regroup and you focus at the task at hand, which is the unification of Black people under the Progressive Caucus, and most importantly, having a clear objective of opposing the Government of National Unity. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. You understand? So now, we don't have an issue. Let me finish, please. We don't have an issue with him being emotional and whatnot. He's human. We get that. However, if now he's utilizing the platform that he's holding as a leader, doesn't necessarily only come after Mr. Shivambo, but also Mkhonto, which is a party, that becomes a problem because now, again, you're being a divisive leader instead of uniting all of us.
All right. I mean, I think that's understandable. So therefore, not only are you talking to me, I mean, the Youth League has actually issued a statement, right? So what is the purpose behind the statement? What I mean is, it can't just be to vent and express an opinion. There must be a bottom line and end goal to this. What do you want to happen?
The bottom line for this is to remind all of the parties and leaders in the Progressive Caucus that in as much as we all have our issues, this Progressive Caucus was not established to deal or serve as a stage and a platform for ego-driven theatrics and like petty power struggles. Whatever issues that we have with an individual, please deal with that outside of it. But most importantly, let's be cognizant and be respectful of each other and of the clearer goal of what stands for the Progressive Caucus, rather, not Congress.
Are you genuinely concerned that this Progressive Caucus that you refer to, that the unity of the caucus not only has been disrupted at this moment in time, but it actually could be damaged and irreparably so?
Look, of course, we are definitely concerned. Otherwise, we wouldn't have issued a statement. I mean, it's redundant for us not to issue a statement if we're not affected or worried about this. What we're simply saying is that we're cautioning not necessarily only GS Malema, but all parties involved, including ours, that, look, guys, we understand that everybody has their own issues. However, can we keep focus at the greater and bigger picture, which is to not only achieve economic freedom in our lifetime, but also it has to deal with land restitution and redistribution to the rightful owners of the land.
Have you approached, your principles within the MK party?
Pardon?
Have you approached your principles, your leadership within the MK party itself?
Yes, we have. We didn't just issue this statement before engaging them, and we're all on the same page.
Okay, but what did they say? Because I mean, I would think, and this sounds rather, just straightforward to say. Well, the reality is, if Floyd Shivambo did not leave the EFF, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That means once the MK party accepted Shivambo to move and cross to another significant party, there was going to be some friction. There had to be.
Look, with regards to how the position of the party stands, Nhlamalon Bela, which is our national spokesperson, or Sipotira, who's the parliamentary spokesperson, are better suited to answer that question because that deals with the party. I am here as the mouthpiece of the Youth League and to give our concern.
Okay, fair enough. Just the last thing, I mean, would you then, as part of your concerns, be telling people like Nhlamalon and I mean the brains trust of the MK party to say, hold it, I would suggest as part of the Progressive Caucus, can you arrange to have a conversation with the EFF, because you are on one side already anyway, and see how you're going to play out differences in the public domain?
Look, we've had certain conversations with our leadership, and like I said, we're all on the same page. Now, going forward, with regards to how that engagement is going to happen, will be left up to the party, and the party will comment on that at the right time. In the meantime, we're all focused on the Progressive Caucus and what it's supposed to do in Parliament, and most importantly, for the greater good of the people.
Can you, just the last thing, can you actually see a day, that caucus, the Progressive Caucus, may actually collapse? I mean, there's already one or two parties that were in it on day one and were out of it on day two.
Can I do that?
Can you see a day that the Progressive Caucus, as you see it, with the EFF as well as the MK parties as key members of the caucus, actually collapsing?
No, we don't, because again, like we said, ours, by releasing the statement, is not to say, yes, there's a huge thing happening. It's just merely to caution everybody that's within it. Now, should it collapse, there would have to be serious reasons as to why that happened. And obviously, the repercussions would be steep. And obviously, whoever chooses to exit it at the time will have to explain. But like I said, that's not what's happening at the moment in time. That's not the focus. We as Mkhonto party and the Youth League who's backing Mkhonto party are saying, let's all focus on the greater good. The objective of the Progressive Caucus, which, by the way, holds 102 seats of the National Assembly, let's unify all the parties in there, being Mkhonto, the EFF, ATM, NCC, and the UAT, together into the actual Progressive Caucus that was established. And let's keep it moving. Like, unification is what we're here for, and the growth of not only our nation and the revolution, but for our people.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Let's see what happens next. Appreciate you giving off your time and connecting to the National Pulse. That's in Kateko. Nkabela, the spokesperson of the Mkhonto Wesizwe Youth League, expressing concerns about pronouncements made, particularly by the EFF's leader Julius Malema. This as the fallout of the departure or the transfer of the season with Shivamba moving the other way. In fact, let's get a quick call on this issue. Zakele's got a thought. Hi, Zakele.
Yeah, Ashraf, how are you?
Yeah,
Zakele from Cape Town.
I'm great. Go ahead. What's your point?
Ashraf, I'm sorry to say this. You know, the lady that you just spoke to just now, you've been listening. It seems as if she just stood on the line and she wanted to hear her own personal view on the matter, but she is coming from a structure which is MK. And surprisingly, when you're asking her questions, she says, no, the party will make it, will pronounce on that. The party will talk. Or who is she talking on behalf of?
Well, the Youth League specifically, so we know, the MK Youth League.
And then now they have been consulted with the mother body, seemingly. They are just an independent structure.
Well, they've said they've consulted, and of course the same public statement has been sent to the mother body, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but then the EFF is a different entity altogether from the MK. In as much as they are in a progressive particular agreement in Parliament, but then they should meet and discuss and come out with one voice. I think, not in defense of Julius Malema, but he is right to rent in the manner in which he rented because he's feeling aggrieved, and there's no formula when you are hit.
Well, I agree with you.
This is how you must cry. This is how you must behave.
I do agree. Okay, I'm going to have to move on.
She can't talk on behalf of the EFF.
Well, I agree with you, Zakele. I mean, that's why the point I've made that, it'd be naive. You lose your major player. What do you expect? Someone to just smile about it? That's being very, very naive. That's how I see it. Thank you.
The Buccaneers are highly against anything that will prevent them from getting to the final as they chase their third consecutive title. But the citizens are on a mission to spoil that party. This is the second leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Defending champs Orlando Pirates FC tackle Cape Town City FC on Saturday, 31 August at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
British supergroup Smokey is touring South Africa in September. Party of the Year with Mexican Girl, Needles and Pins, and of course, living next door to Alice. Smokey in South Africa. Cape Town 18 September, Pretoria 20 September, Port Elizabeth 21 September, and Carnival City on 22 September. Bookings at ltickets.coza, 011 815 3000 or smoky.coza.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday.
We'll chat later on to Wayne Juvenage from Outer, just regarding many issues around the issue of the Minister of Justice. That comes up later on. But let's get into something that's part of our daily Global Watch feature, and that's concerning migrants from the African continent who cross over the Mediterranean to other countries in the Mediterranean as well, and I'm talking about countries like Spain and others. Before we get there, right, just remember this as well, right? You could get a great deal on your car insurance premium when you call out insurance. Be like 53-year-old Neo, who pays only 1,059 rands to insure his white 2023 Ford Ranger XL DC without insurance. Get a quote now. It's easy. SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754 now. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's available online.
X at SFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, so let's then talk about the issue of African migrants crossing over, particularly in this case to Spain. And the context of that is the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, in fact, has been in countries like Mauritania in particular, maybe to just try and resolve issues around just that. So Gemma Parellada is with me, the longest-serving Spanish correspondent in the Sub-Saharan Africa region. She works with many various, national and international media networks, including CNN. So, Gemma, good chatting to you. You're now connected to the National Pulse.
Hi, good morning to you.
Good morning indeed. First of all, how big an issue is, if I can call it, the migrant problem, in inverted commas, from the African continent to Spain in particular?
Well, it is a huge concern at the moment because there is an unprecedented arrival of migrants at Spanish coast, and the Spanish government, of course, is very worried and wants to explore how to slow it down. That's why the president, Pedro Sanchez, started this trip over Mauritania, Senegal, and Gambia. And because let's remember these routes, these migrant flows, they are not new. Actually, today it's the 30th anniversary of the first boat arrival at the Canary Islands in Spain. So it was the 28th of August on 94. But this year we are getting like these records. Last year we had a record of arrivals, and this year by now the number already doubled. And let's think that now it's starting the good season because the ocean is more calm. So we expect even more people to jump into the ocean.
So what are you expecting? I mean, what does France, what does Spain want to do about this?
So the president is trying to talk with the governments from Senegal, Mauritania, and Gambia, which are the major points of departure. And normally they develop like police cooperation, but on this case it's a bit different because they are trying to add all these economical cooperation and agreements for some migrants to be able to come to Spain legally, so they do not have to take that road. Because let's remember that the Canary Islands is this 8-island archipelago. It's the busiest road in Europe by the ocean. It's the deadliest as well. And so right now all the centers are flooded. There's not even the capacity for the social workers to deal with all these big numbers of arrivals.
So is the attempt to stop the migrants, or is the attempt to allow the migrants into Spain, but in a more structured, more formal manner? And I say that because I'm actually quoting the Spanish Prime Minister, who said migration is not a problem. It is a need that involves certain problems, and for this we must push formulas that allow us to manage the phenomenon of migration into a humane, safe and orderly way to benefit our respective societies. I'll stop quoting there because I think one of the points around that is that the suggestion is that Spain needs migrant labor, if that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The president is focusing on the richness of these migrants and all these, the adding on the social, on the society in Spain. But let's not forget that there is a lot of like police cooperation, and they're focusing as well on how to stop it. So, for on one hand, they want to diminish the persons coming illegally, and they want to try to explore ways to find legal ways for them to come on a secure way, and as well in order to control all this amount of people that has been coming for now for 30 years, but that there is increasing. And let's not forget that they're not only often we attribute of them fleeing from war, but most of them, they come for economic reasons. So a lot of them, and I've been working on the ground on that, they try to get a visa legally, they've been rejected, and then they take the plan B, they take the dangerous road, which is like jumping on these like very traditional and secure boats, and the ocean is very tough there. Even though the distance is small, it might look small because the Canary Islands, they are only 100 kilometers away from the Moroccan coast, for example, but they are starting off from Mauritania or from Senegal. And yeah, these boats, they are really not ideal to do this very dangerous trip.
Well, it's clearly fraught with danger, and I think we agree with that. We probably need to have another conversation about that in terms of how do you create the conditions to prevent migrants from even wanting to move to another country in the first place, because there's economic richness in their own countries. But hold that thought, maybe another day. Jamar Parayada, thank you for your time. Much appreciate you sharing your input here on the National Pulse. Let's get the news headlines now. Here's Madupi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garda, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines this hour, close to 3/4 of municipalities in KZN, 39 out of 54, have received unqualified audit reports from the Auditor General for the 2022-23 financial year. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the government is working with National Treasury to remove South Africa from the grey list, and the Palestinian Red Crescent says at least 11 people have been killed in a major Israeli operation in the occupied West Bank, targeting at least 4 Palestinian cities at once. And those are your headlines. A full news update coming up 4 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M2 in central Johannesburg has delays between Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. The M1 southbound has a crash before Boyson's Road exit. In Pretoria, Francis Bart Street eastbound has a crash before the N1 highway. The N1 northbound has a crash before Linwood Road, causing delays, and Pretoria Street is queuing between Casonia Avenue and Kilnerton Road. In KZN, rain across parts of Durban reported. Reduce speeds and drive with absolute care. The N2 southbound is queuing towards Spaghetti Junction, and the N3 westbound has a crash before the Pavilion Shopping Centre exit. In the Free State, on the N3, a veld fire with smoke affecting visibility near the Wilge Toll Plaza. The road's closed, which is causing some serious delays. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Schoemanskloof has a crash between Goedeville and Crossroads. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road exit. Victoria Road outbound is slow moving through Woodstock. Voortrekker Road eastbound slow moving through Maitland, and the M3 southbound queuing towards Rhodes Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumin Khapele.
To me, are you going to talk rugby, or have you got something else to talk about?
I'm talking about the Paralympics. It's all systems
go. It starts today.
Yes.
So rugby, hold it. Paralympics come to the front.
Well, it's all systems go for the Paris Paralympics, and organizers are expecting a spectacular opening ceremony tonight. In the tournament's history, it will be for the first time that the opening will be outside a stadium, just like the Olympics. Now, Team South Africa will be led by track athlete Mpumelelo Mhlongo and swimmer Kat Swanepoel as the country's flag bearers. And they're also medal hopefuls, with Mhlongo a T44 world record holder in the 100 meter, 200 meter and long jump. jump and also a Paralympic Games record holder, while Swanepoel is set to compete in the SM5 200-meter individual medley, S5 50-meter breaststroke, 100-meter freestyle, 200-meter freestyle, and the SB4 100-meter breaststroke. Then moving on to football, Stellenbosch FC have a huge task today as they will face Mamelodi Sundowns in the MTN 8 semi-finals in 2 legs. And coach Steve Barker says that he's excited about the encounters and wants to go there with a positive attitude. With Sundowns quality, he expects a highly motivated clash tonight, and this match gets underway at 7 p.m. Remember, the Orlando Pirates match was moved from yesterday and it will kick off today at 6 p.m. Meanwhile, Mamelodi Sundowns coach Manqoba Mngqithi has given his view on the PSL's decision to again stretch the transfer window deadline to late next month. Now, since COVID, the league registration date has either been extended to the end of September or even October, with some coaches arguing it created uncertainty for unsettled players.
To be honest, it's difficult for me to complain and talk about it because I don't want to be in a space where it's like Sundowns is complaining again, because the movement of the window, I think, is also guided by the beginning of the league.
Elsewhere, South American football is in mourning following the death of Uruguayan defender Juan Azuaredo, who collapsed on the pitch after suffering an irregular heartbeat last week. The 27-year-old had been undergoing medical treatment since collapsing. He fell to the ground unconscious in the 84th minute without coming into contact with any player. He was then taken off the pitch in an ambulance before being treated at the intensive care at the Albert Einstein Hospital, and then the hospital said in a statement that he had died as a result of brain death following his collapse. Moving on to cricket, Pakistan recalled leg spinner Abar Ahmed for the second and final test against Bangladesh after their decision to play an all-pace attack on a slow track backfired in the series opener last week. Pakistan succumbed to their first ever test defeat against Bangladesh on Sunday after fielding an attack which did not contain a single frontline spinner. Abar, who has 38 wickets from 6 tests, has been added to the squad alongside uncapped spin bowling all-rounder Kamran Gulam. Then in athletics, South African 10-kilometer champion Glenrose Xaba has fired back at critics who accuse her of over-racing, arguing that she is unfairly singled out while others go unnoticed. Xaba recently set a new course record at the Absa Run Your City in Tshwane, finishing in 31 minutes and 51 seconds, earning the 30,000 rand prize.
No, I'm not over racing. Why me? When I'm racing, they said I'm over racing, but when others they are racing, they are training. Even me, I'm training. I just keep on momentum of the legs so that they can stay strong and stay on the leg, because Ethiopians, they don't rest, they train.
Well, then finally, in boxing, Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie has dissolved the Boxing South Africa board with immediate effect, deciding against spending more money on a court case to keep them in office, though it had appeared winnable. Now, McKenzie's decision came after Boxing South Africa appeared before Parliament's Portfolio Committee, where the regulators' excessive costs had been flagged. BSA, which governs professional boxing in the country, is funded by the government, and a new board is appointed every 3 years. Now, this is the second time since December the new BSA board has been dissolved, both times resulting with legal action by a group calling themselves the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association.
And the question that you ask is so pertinent, but I want to assure you, in 21 days, I will come back with the action report, not of what I'm going to do, but of what I have done between now and that 21 days. The report that you'll get will be a report that speaks to consequence management. It will be a report that speaks to people being arrested. It will be a report that speaks to what is the future of boxing in this country. I am not going to take the fall for corrupt people, me. That one I'm never going to do. Or incompetent people. You can't have a phone bill for 600,000 rand. You can't have those. Those are funny things.
Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie just talking about some of the things that they were dealing with in Parliament, because apparently over the years, Boxing South Africa has spent around 12 million rand. 12 million rand.
They've spent 12 million on what?
As you can hear the minister saying, how can a phone bill cost 600,000 rands? Like, it doesn't make sense.
We spoke about municipalities who are not able to deliver clean audits. I mean, here's another example. It is a reflection of so much that's wrong in South African society. I mean,
Absolutely. And I was just reading what the current board was saying, that it's unfair that now they have to answer to the previous board's mistakes because they don't know what's happening over there. But now the board is dissolved, and I don't know where the future of Boxing South Africa is in the country.
It's a knockout that's been delivered, and maybe it needs to be delivered. I mean, that's the bottom line to it. More sport from you in an hour to me. Thank you.
Masanda Wana want to impress the Yellow Nation with victory in the first clash against Stellies to get to the second encounter with huge smiles. However, the maroon and gold outfit want to dominate headlines as the football brains that knows how to stop Bafana Bastille. This is the first leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Wafa Wafa! Catch Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Stellenbosch FC Wednesday, 28 August at 6:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, SABC 3 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
1 hour for the kids' school run, 8 hours at work, 2 hours preparing meals, and so much more. Sure. 24 hours is simply not enough to do it all. Luckily at UNISA, you don't need to find time for your studies. Anytime will do. Shape your future with the leading open distance e-learning university in Africa. Applications to study undergraduate qualifications at UNISA in 2025 are open. Visit unisa.ac.za to apply. UNISA, define tomorrow.
Right, let me, do remember this, okay? And in remembering it, don't forget, because it's that important, the rebirth of Mubango, the new season, SABC 2. It's every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. and experience the drama and excitement with new intriguing characters. Well, you should know the names by now. Dr. Intlantla Kimba, played by Leleti Kumalo. And then the usual favorites, Azwindini, Rendani, Teboho, and Josi. It's a renaissance of new beginnings, love, secrets, and betrayal. Remember, that's every Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. on SABC2.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
We did make the point earlier on that when we talk about what moves the national pulse, I promise you sometimes even at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we can't predict as a production team. I'm looking at Keys and Temba, like, what is it that's going to be the big stories, because things change by the hour, right? Well, yesterday we touched on it, but certainly now, and it has moved on, okay, regarding the issue of the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Thembi Simelane. You may be aware, now President Ramaphosa, and I mean, we spoke about this yesterday. The context of all of that was that when she was a mayor, at a time in Polokwane, had received money and ostensibly a loan. Whether she repaid it or not is another issue. Somehow that loan was linked to other transactions around the VBS bank. So there's been calls for suspensions from the DA, others calling for resignations, others calling for complete axing. Well, the president, I understand now, Ramaphosa, that is, has actually asked for more details. Let's try and understand further what the issues really are here and where should it all end, with Wayne Dubenage, who's the CEO of Outer. Wayne, is always good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
To be with you as well, Asha.
Thank you. Right, so you obviously have a position on this, right? What is it?
Well, it is that, she needs to come clean. Now, what does that mean? I mean, there's clearly, when you look at it on the face of it, there's a conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest. And if you read it the way the media is putting it, something clearly seems to be wrong. Now, she wants to explain herself as this just being a commercial transaction of a loan of, 575,000 rand, and it's been paid back. Well, it's fine. Can we see the conditions of that loan now? In other words, did you get it for at zero interest rate? We don't know that. And actually, who did pay the loan back? Was it you, or was it somebody else? And if it's not a standard loan, and you can't back that up with the facts, in other words, there are favors in there, then there's a clear conflict of interest. Something you've benefited, and your position was one of seniority in the municipality at the time, and there's a connection with Garda Wealth Solutions, and Mr. Razwinane is the broker with your municipality, giving funds to VBS, which, as we know, is plundered. So there's just too much that cannot be ignored here, and she has to be very careful or very open and transparent about her explanation.
All right, now you are aware, I mean, there's been organizations in particular like the DA was called for a suspension, right? I understand, not an expulsion, a suspension, but the president has now asked for more information, for full details. Is that the right approach, or should it jump even further?
Well, I think that is the right approach, but needs to move quite swiftly. So what he's basically saying to her is explain yourself, but I hope at the same time he's got his somebody investigating, looking at the links, and then he's going to compare what his advisors or his investigators are saying. Look, this is how we see it, and what her story is. If they both make sense and there's nothing untoward, he's going to have to explain that very carefully to the public to allay our fears, because as we know, there's a massive trust deficit between the public and government, and these types of things just add to that problem. So he's going to have to quell that fire very, very, openly and transparently. If it doesn't make sense, well, then he just makes that problem bigger.
Should she be asked to step down already?
Well, as I said, if there's nothing untoward, in other words, if all of this is properly explained, and there is no conflict of interest, then why would she step down? That's what she's going to be saying. But there's an ethical issue here as well. There's not even a case of, where is the transgression and the wrongdoing? There is clearly an ethical issue, and that also has to be answered, because there is conflict here. You are doing deals with people who are doing deals with VBS, and we know that that the owner of Garda Wealth is there's a court case with him. He's involved in earning millions of rand unlawfully from VBS. So he's in big trouble, but she's doing deals with him and his company. So clearly, well, I think we've got to be careful of saying clearly, but that's the issue that we have as society is just far too much smoke here. So explain it in very carefully and in detail. And if it doesn't make sense, then the president should remove her. It doesn't do him or this government any favors to keep people on board where there are questions of ethical conduct and wrongdoing and maladministration.
At this point in time, I mean, again, many may want to jump the gun and call for this, suspension or expulsion immediately. Do you think the president is following the right course of procedures here?
Yeah, I think he is, but he's got to do it quickly. We don't want to be sitting in a month's time waiting for still evaluating the reports. So you've got to give a bit of time and space for these things to happen. I think sometimes the knee-jerk reaction is, no, she must go, just get rid of her now. And then only to find out of the slim, I think it's a slim chance that there was nothing. So I do think there is something here. Now, this is the other side of the question. What we should be saying to the minister, Simelane, is if there is any unethical conduct here, or you are, and it can be proven that you have transgressed the rules, you should be not subjecting the president and this country to the embarrassment that will flow from that. We saw this with Zizi Godwa. You should step down now and not later when it's all found out and hoping that you might dodge a bullet here. So just you come clean right now. If you're telling us there's nothing untoward, this is all above board, well, you're going to have to prove that now. So now we want to see the contracts.
How does South Africa, as a country and as a government, right, come out of this with the moral high ground?
Well, they come out of it with her stepping down. So we see this in many parts of the world where a minister is just implicated in some way and it doesn't look good. And they say, look, this is not good for government. Let me step down. Let me do the ethical thing. I'll explain myself, and I still believe. I mean, but this is not good for our country. That's what should be happening right now, and it isn't. So sadly, and if that doesn't happen, then the president must act quite quickly, and I think he must quickly find out to what extent there is too much smoke. There's fire here, and if he feels there is, he should dismiss her. He should tell her to step down.
Okay, maybe the last thing here, when this issue happens, I mean, every day there's another issue, and we know that the knee-jerk reaction from many South Africans is like, what do you expect? This is South Africa after all. Now, as someone who's involved with regards to outer around text abuse, and that's your gig, right? How normal is this? Not just in South Africa, but in many, many other countries in the world. That means politicians carry favor, they leverage of their association with people to siphon off huge, and I'm not saying this is the case here, but in terms of these type of allegations that gain massive advantage from the positions they hold as elected officials. What I'm trying to get at is, how much of it is a South African issue, or is it a global issue?
I think it's becoming a global issue. Some countries, like in the States, disguise it as lobbying, and it's wrong. Any favors and middlemen transactions that take place is wrong as far as we're concerned. In good, clean, well-managed countries, Singapore, Switzerland, many parts of Europe, those countries have high ethics when it comes to governance, and it doesn't take place. And they run highly and efficiently as countries. So what we need to do as a democracy that is fraught with corruption and all of this type of stuff that's carrying on day to day, by the way, it's actually got worse since, it hasn't got any better, let me put it that way, since Ramaphosa has come into power. And the 7th administration is starting to show some green shoots of how we're going to have to deal with this. We're on a long journey, but this is a serious problem in South Africa, and it's a problem disguised in other ways in many other countries.
And we're all looking for our Tumamina moment. Wayne Duvenage, appreciate your time. CEO of Outer, as always. Thanks for being connected here to the National Pulse. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Every day, our children are exposed to relentless marketing of unhealthy foods where they live, learn, and play. This aggressive marketing of unhealthy foods to children can shape their eating habits and food preferences for the rest of their lives. I'm your host, Crystal Audison. Is big food stalking our children? Watch Chew on This on healer.org.
From 1936 to the future, from Ekaya, Ekas, to Jozi and Purkan to the world, from dance and poetry to stages filled with our hopes and dreams, from SABC radio stations to cross-border triumphs, from drama, comedy and heart-pounding sport to raise our flag, from culture and spirit to the streets where talent is grown, from generation to generations and the shows that kept us entertained. So what are you waiting for? Kumbule Kaya, SABC has always been home to our joy, stories, and Msanti's magic. Come home to SABC Plus, still home to the best of who we are.
Right, make a note of this. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nelson Mandela Museum, Dr. Vuyani Gweki Boy, will engage SAFM listeners on how the Nelson Mandela Museum is preserving, promoting and protecting the legacy of Nelson Mandela. He will further unpack the 2023-24 audit outcome results, so you can tune into, well, two shows, The Talking Point and this show, The National Pulse, to hear about the latest developments within the museum and the upcoming Liberation Heritage Endeavour. All of that will happen soon.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Okay, let's get to your calls, because one aspect of understanding what is it that moves the National Pulse is knowing what drives it, and what drives it are you guys. Wherever you may be around the country, from Joburg to Mpumalanga to Matlosana, wherever you may be, welcome to You Have a View and You Drive It. Ryan, let's get your thoughts. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan. You're live. Go ahead. What's your point?
Yes, my concern is the spokesperson of the MK Youth League. They were talking a whole lot of nonsense of courage, according to me, because Floyd Shibambu have sold out the platform of the revolution. He can say that black people must go and unite, whereas he has go and join MK, which is the last party to be open. If he didn't want to what I was saying, he was supposed to resign and go and join ASAP or PAC, which are advocating for the same thing that is enshrined in the Freedom Charter. So he has sold us out. He doesn't have platform. He has sold the revolution out, and that national spokesperson, he doesn't know what he's talking.
Okay, I got that. I mean, I've suggested the same thing, that we've been rather naive when there's a major shift to another party to expect them to speak to others as chommies. I mean, really? I think that's being naive. Ryan, thanks for that call, Ryan. Let's get to Philip in Mpumalanga. Hi, Philip.
Hi.
Yeah, go on, Philip. Yeah, I'm very good indeed, right? What's your point?
Yeah, so many things to say, but so little time.
One point. Make one solid point. That's it.
Yeah.
When we have coffee, when we have coffee one day, when I come to Mpumalanga, we can chat for an hour. But for now, one solid point. Go ahead.
Right. Parliament.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so flawed, so unpromising, so corrupt. You can name them. Then you may ask me why.
Well, I'm sure you're going to tell me.
We are, as a parliament, as I see it, they are just debating personal issues. National issues are put on the back. So many ANC people that are involved in money laundering scandals. Now we've got Milani. We must debate the thing of Milani. Well, we have so many things that are so solid to South Africa.
Well, it's not just South Africa, okay? All right, I'm going to move on. I hear what you're saying, Philip. I think you've made your point. Thank you for that. Well, as you've heard what my chat with Wayne Duvenage, it's not uniquely South Africa. There are problems like this around the world, believe me. Thanks for that call. Kandisa, let's get your opinion. Hi.
Hi, Ashraf, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Go ahead. What's your point?
Good, Ashraf. Ashraf, I want to go straight to the point. I don't know what is happening in Northwest. Ashraf, the Deputy Speaker of the Legislature of Northwest has been found with fraud of matric results. And I'm very worried why ANC leaves this guy to serve as MP. He resigned only to the position of Deputy Speaker. And it's a chairperson of Sanko in the province. How can a person with that high position forge a matric certificate and media don't do anything, province don't do anything?
Well, I mean, I hear you.
Is it right as well?
But clearly it's not right. What does that tell you about... There's also an issue about the DA, by the way, on something also very, very similar. What does that tell you about our political party leadership? I mean, in one line, what does that tell you?
As I'm saying, ANC and Sanko, they must come and explain and clarify all this issue.
Okay.
The issue, you can't say there's issue of DA. We are talking about somebody here who is a Deputy Speaker of the Legislature, who resigned as but they left him to be MPA.
Yeah, I hear you.
Member of provincial legislature.
All right. I think you made your point, and I think you've amplified it really well and loud nationwide. Thanks for that. Thanks for that point, Kandisa. Right. Here's a comment from Tsediso. What the MK party lady saying doesn't make sense. How will Malema trust the MK party going forward, especially when the MK party said that they started talking to Floyd during Progressive Caucus negotiations? Well, the plot thickens is all I can say, right? Right. I want to get some thoughts here on here's an issue we're going to touch on just now as well.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf Garda. You know what moves my pulse? These municipalities who keep getting qualified audits, no improvements, taxpayers' money get wasted year in, year out, and yet these municipality managers still keep their post. No, that must come to an end. Only Western Cape got clean audit in the entire country. There must be consequence management. they must be charged. They must face the consequences. We cannot be continuing like this. Now they know that there won't be any consequence management. That's why we'll keep getting these bad audit results. It's Thabo Manyike here. Thank you.
Well, maybe the consequence management is exactly why we have an election. That's all I'm saying. So call line Harry Smith, go ahead.
How's it?
Yeah, good. Go ahead. What's your point?
Good. Yeah, my point is, I just want to ask something here. Did Mayor Johannesburg Mayor resign or what? Did you hear anything about
Which one?
From that side?
The new mayor.
Yeah, the new mayor.
Not that I know of. If you got a breaking story, you better tell me. But we don't know about it. No.
No, I just heard the rumor that it looks like it's been resigned. I don't know. I'm about to ask Kaski. Okay, and nevertheless, if it's like that, it's fine.
Okay.
You were discussing about the lady who was the mayor in Polokwane.
Yeah, quickly, we're on to news. Quickly, one point, yeah?
Yeah, no. Now, you see, if it's like this, for the sake of organization, ANC, he must just step aside because now, if he will keep on that office, then it's going to be a problem.
All right, I hear you.
He must. And lastly, Mr.
I have to go. It's news time. I can't take 3 points in one call. You must understand that. To be fair, I need to give other people a chance, right? When you come on, please help me. One solid point you can make, not three different ones. But the point that you make, I hear you. The question about the step aside is, when does the Minister of Justice or the former Mayor of Polokwane, when does that person step aside? At which point in time is it the right thing to step aside, or is it rather premature right now? Let's get the news now. It's 4 o'clock. Here's Madupi.
Thank you very much, Ntate Garda. The top stories at 4 o'clock. Most KZN municipalities get unqualified audit reports, and 11 killed in Israeli attack on the West Bank. A very good afternoon. Close to 3/4 of municipalities in KZN, 39 out of 54, have received unqualified audit reports from the Auditor General for the 2022-23 financial year. However, there were findings of material irregularities in some cases. The Umlalaza municipality near Mtunzini has now joined 3 other local authorities in having received clean audit reports. The Umkhanyakuta district in northern KZN improved its position from a disclaimer that no conclusions can be drawn from the documents submitted to a qualified audit with findings on irregularities. The AG report says that there is a gradual improvement in audit findings, with attention being paid to preventative controls and to credible reporting on service delivery. All lanes have been reopened to traffic in the vicinity of the Wilge Toll Plaza near Villiers in the Free State following the earlier veld fires adjacent to the N3 toll route that had caused a thick black smoke across the entire road. This resulted in extremely poor visibility and dangerous driving conditions. Motorists are advised to continue to drive with caution there. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the government is working with National Treasury to remove South Africa from the grey list. The Financial Action Task Force took a decision to include South Africa on its grey list in February last year. The FATF report highlighted several deficiencies in the country's anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing systems. The report included 67 recommendations, and South Africa was given 1 year to show progress in adhering to them or face the risk of staying on the list. Ramaphosa elaborates on the progress made.
We were discussing it in a cabinet committee, and tremendous progress has been made and will continue to be made to remove South Africa from this grey listing program. And what we also heard is that we're not the only country that is having this challenge. In mighty countries like the United States, for instance, on this particular issue, are way, way, way behind us. We have some 9 issues left, and they have like 38. And
the Speaker of Parliament, Togo Didiza, has been presiding over the swearing-in of new MK and EFF MPs. The EFF has replaced Floyd Shibambu and Mzwanele Manyi with Nazir Paulson and Sinawo Tambo. They've served previous terms as MPs. Mzwanele Manyi and Brian Molefe are among the new MK MPs being sworn in. And the Palestinian Red Crescent says that at least 11 people have been killed in a major Israeli operation on the occupied West Bank, targeting at least 4 Palestinian cities at once. The BBC's Yolanda Nell has more.
The Israeli military has not said very much officially about what is going on. It's talked about this being a counter-terrorism operation involving different security forces. But we've had the Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, who's come out in particular talking about how the Israeli military is acting with full force, he said, in the north of the West Bank. And he accuses Iran of backing Palestinian armed groups to really open up a new front, he says, against Israel, and says that this action is necessary to deal with them, that they may have to adopt measures such as those seen in the Gaza Strip.
The top story at 4 o'clock, close to 3/4 of municipalities in KZN, 39 out of 54, have received unqualified audit reports from the Auditor General for the 2022-23 financial year. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemele.
In sports this hour, Foster set for a return to the EPL, and we hear from Mapaka, who reflects on a career highlight Proteas debut. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M2 in central Johannesburg has delays between Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. The M1 southbound has a crash before Boyson's Road exit. In Pretoria, Francis Bard Street eastbound has a crash before the N1 highway, and Pretoria Street is queuing between Casonia Avenue and Kilnerton Road. In KZN, the N3 westbound has a stationary truck after Pavilion Shopping Centre exit. The M13 eastbound in Pinetown has a crash on Fields Hill, and Umgeni Road westbound is slow moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road exit. The M5 southbound is slow moving towards Krombum Road. The M3 southbound is queuing towards Rhodes Drive, and the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard queuing towards Hospital Bend. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Right, we have lots more to be talking about, some of the biggest issues in the country, in the world. Feel free to connect with me anytime that there's an issue that you want to raise, but when you do that, make it one solid point. It just helps the flow of the show, and it means we can get to speak to as many people as possible. That's one thing. The other one is, if you're sending out a WhatsApp voice note, try and keep it at about 30 seconds for the same reasons. You know, the shorter, the punchier, the quicker we can get things done, the more we can get more people speaking to us, which is really what we want. Because besides your opinion, also we can hear many others with their own opinions. Now, talking about opinions, what words come to mind when you hear the titles like Skeem Saam, Generations, and The Legacy, as well as Uzala? Well, what about royalty, classics, the stars, and drama? SABC One proudly brings you the 7th Royalty Soapy Awards. And that award's awarding excellence in the soapies across all Mzansi's broadcasters. It happens on Saturday night, so tune in for that, for all the glitz and the glam. Saturday night, 31st of August, 8 p.m. only on SABC One, Mzansi for sure.
They say first touch in football is very key. That's exactly what First Touch ladies want to display to grab a spot in the top 5. But UWC is onto something different. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. First Touch Ladies FC versus the University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday 1 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Hey Mike, congratulations on your retirement.
Thanks, Andile. Are you preparing for it?
Yes, but not just for myself.
For you and?
For me and my employees.
Oh.
You know, since we moved to Old Mutual Corporate, their retirement funds have not only been safe and secure, but gaining competitive returns through exposure to diverse investment markets.
Impressive.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Doesn't the issue of the Auditor General's report into municipalities, doesn't that infuriate you? Doesn't it gall you? I'm talking about those numbers. I mean, they're rather frightening, aren't they? And the fact they're not new. 257 municipalities nationwide. Of them, 34 only 34 gets clean audits. That's from all the municipalities. Then you get into the metros, the big cities like Johannesburg and Pretoria and Durban and Cape Town and all of them. And it's like only Cape Town has got a clean audit. Now, municipalities, as we know, are the very core of service delivery. So it's pretty clear based upon this that you can say that municipalities are a mess if you didn't know that already, right? And if you can't deliver a clean audit, which really is taking account for where your money has gone, not even talking about whether you spent it correctly, then what would you expect from other fundamentals? And the fact is they're there for all to see. You know, fundamentals like getting the streets right, no potholes, the issues of water disruptions and interruptions, the issues of, parks maintenance and security and policing, and the issues of healthcare, and just ensuring that public spaces look really presentable to the point that these town squares are most welcoming to people wanting to be out on the open. Then like fire engines and other issues. I can go on and on, but let me put the fire out for the moment and say this, right? The Auditor General, in my conversation with her, made the point about that many of them are influenced by political appointments, and that gets played out. It gets played out in terms of the poor service delivery, and the manifestation of that is what we now find of what I called not clean audits, I called it dirty audits, right? I know there's a more professional name for that, but I mean, just saying it as it is. And we have to ask ourselves the question before and even now after May 29. I'm still seriously looking for political parties who can display and manifest in how they continue with their work, that they have truly, outside when they get into power at whichever level, national, provincial, local, they truly put the people at the very center of all the decision making and not put their political party vision and their narrow political party interest at the very center of the decision making. As long as they continue doing that, and I'm not pointing out one party, I'm talking in plural sense here, we will understand that South Africa will always be a country with many municipalities which are ridden with potholes just waiting to be filled. Well, that's my point. Now, what's yours?
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
Right, I'd certainly love you to comment on that. I mean, the issue of the numbers are not new, but the biggest question out of this is like, why and what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to smile and be, to use this very South African phrase like being grateful? It's a phrase we all understand. Beyond that, what do we do? Do nothing about it, or what? At what stage do the different politicians from all the different parties, progressive Alliance Caucus, Government of National Unity, Multi-Party Caucus, whatever it is, independence, at what stage do they know that we don't want them to continue the way they are? In that vein, let's talk about the Asset Forfeiture Unit of the NPA. They, in collaboration with the Special Investigating Unit, has obtained a preservation order from the High Court of South Africa, that's the Gauteng Division, to preserve 4 high-value properties and the financial transfers and a vehicle, all linked to the siphoning off of millions of rands from the National Lotteries Commission. You see, I just had a headache just now. I'm sure you have a headache now. This gets your pulses racing, no question about it. Okay, let's understand the story around this one with Lumka Mahanjana, who's the NPA regional spokesperson. Lumka, good chatting to you here on the National Pulse.
Thank you for having me, Ashfat, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Good afternoon. So, help us understand here, what is the essence of the story here?
Okay, basically, let me take you from the beginning of how we got here. So, the SIU received a proclamation order from the president to look into the alleged corruption at the National Lotteries Commission. So their preliminary investigations then revealed that the National Lotteries Commission lost about 344 million rand through corruption, right? So what then happens after the investigations by the SIU, they then refer the letter to our asset recovery unit at the NPA, which is our AFU unit. So what then happens after, then the SIU then goes to court and applies for preservation orders to make sure that those properties are secured and not sold while investigations continue.
So it's a type of it's a preservation protection order in a different way to say, hands off this while we continue with our investigations.
Yes, we are freezing your properties, we are preserving your properties so that they are not disposed of, they are not sold, they are kept, right? So now this particular preservation order you are talking about, it's actually the 4th preservation order that the NPA secured at the Pretoria High Court. So the total amount of the preservation orders thus far is 9.5 million rand, which we have since preserved. So then what happens after the preservation order, the NPA will then apply for a final forfeiture order in order to, once granted, then the properties and everything that is preserved will then be sold, and then the money will then be returned to the National Lotteries Commission.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add to this in terms of us understanding, you mentioned what happens next, but in terms of the complexities, is there anything else that we need to be doing?
So this, okay, I also want to mention, because people are asking, then what happens to the criminal activities relating to this matter? Are you going to prosecute these people? What is going on? So while this leg of civil, which is in relation to the AFU, is continuing, criminal investigations in relation to everybody that has been implicated in this matter are ongoing. Then once that part is finalized, then the people will be appearing in court. But what is also important that needs to be noted is that on the 5th of September, the first preservation order that was secured in 2022, the NPA will be applying for a final forfeiture order at the Pretoria High Court.
Okay, let's leave it at that and see what happens next and how this follows through, right? So thank you for giving us that insight, Lumka Mahanjana, the MPA regional spokesperson. And the key word from all of this is the preservation order that prevents these high-value properties and other transfers to be, sold off, siphoned off, while the investigations continue around this issue. All of that linked to the siphoning off of millions of rands from the National Lotteries Commission. Have you heard that story before? You probably have, isn't it? We have a recurring theme on this one here. More to come on other issues, including a potential upstaging of the mayor of not Joburg, now, not at all, Tshwane, after this.
SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day, where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, you have an opinion, and as always, ask that question: what for you moves the national pulse today? And of course, we have different views and different thoughts about just what is the pulse of the nation, what drives your pulse rate up. So what is it? You tell me. People calling in, that's great. Certainly we'll pick it up on your thoughts, and I'd love to get your opinion. You can do that in many ways. You can call in 086 000 2032, then send out a voice note to 0614 104 107. You can also text me to the same number. By the way, talking about that WhatsApp number, if you wish to join the National Pulse channel, just WhatsApp us on that number and just say join channel, right? Okay, here's there's a couple of comments, and I just want to pick this up here, Ashraf, I want to just read that properly because it's very, very confusing. Let me just put that on pause for the moment, okay? So, we've had the drama in the city of Joburg. We now have got drama in the city of Tshwane. There's been a move, we understand, that the ANC attempts to remove Mayor Cilliers Brink. And there's been a response from that. The Tshwane multi-party coalition government has responded to that. They had a press conference today. They have a position. Let's find out what are they saying and what's their next position. Jackie Ace is with me, the City of Tshwane multi-party government's joint caucus leader. Appreciate your time. You're connected to the National Pulse.
Good morning. Oh, good afternoon.
Afternoon, morning, it doesn't really matter. The question, I think, for the city of Tshwane and the mayor is, when will the sun set on the mayor? You have a position on this, tell me.
Yeah, the multi-party coalition had a press conference today. This conference was actually agreed to already on the 6th of August by all the different parties. At the time, we decided to bring the motion of no confidence against the Speaker, which was then subsequently submitted by Action SA and seconded by the Freedom Front. We then, obviously, everything that happened in the media led us to change the purpose of this press conference. And where all the parties utilised the opportunity to reconfirm their position in the coalition, to stretch that the coalition and the current government have made a lot of changes in the lives of the city of Tshwane residents. That a lot of progress has been made. We look at things like the real prospect of having clean water in the taps of people of Hammanskraal, the real change that we have seen to the financial situation of the city as recognized by ratings agencies as well as SALGA. We also then recognized that there is still a very vulnerability in the city, and that all of the good that has been done can be undone very quickly by political instability.
Okay, but then let's take a step back. I mean, you can certainly state your case in terms of how solid the mayor is. Maybe on Friday when that budget, when the vote happens around the motion of no confidence, right? But what is your understanding? The ANC has will drive this motion of no confidence on Friday. It'll be debated. What is their rationale behind it? What is your understanding?
Well, we need to remember that this motion of no confidence came after there was changes that was made to a waste contract tender. And it is very clear that those who are now missing out on the tender is aligned with the ANC. We also have confirmation from the ANC that they stormed their Lekgotla and demanded for a motion of no confidence to happen. So we need to understand that the motion of no confidence is rooted in ANC allies that are losing out of business in the city of Tshwane.
Is that it? I mean, you're saying that's the number one reason that they don't want to lose deals?
Yes, that is where it stemmed from. It stemmed from then. The ANC was very clear of it at the time. We also should further note that in the past, this multi-party coalition has had very many disputes amongst the partners in the coalition. And those disputes were all resolved. We currently do not have a dispute on the table. No party has filed a dispute. Our coalition agreement also says that should a party want to exit the coalition, they need to provide the rest of the coalition partners with notice. And no notice of such a nature has been given. And that is why the coalition, the other coalition partners also today then used the opportunity to say that we have reached out to Action SA. They have not met, or their leadership have not met with us. We had a coalition meeting on Monday night where the chief whip of Action SA caucus reaffirmed their position in the coalition and say that they are still members of this coalition. So we are calling on Action SA to not side themselves with what will ultimately be a coalition that involves the EFF, a party that wants to break this country, that is not one of the builders in this country, but that is a breaker in this country. And we are saying to Action SA, do not work with a coalition that will ultimately include the EFF, but rather continue with the good work that this current coalition is doing and build on what we have.
And what has Action SA said about it?
Action SA have not officially reached out to us at all.
Now, I mean, isn't it very puzzling? I mean, you made the point about the EFF as a party. You say they don't want to build, they want to break, right? The same Action SA has been on record. I'm talking about Herman Mashaba, who's like, I will never do any business with the ANC, and they are doing business with the ANC now, definitely in the city of Joburg. And then, of course, the same Action SA does business in partnership with the DA in other areas, and they argue on a Monday and they're friends on a Tuesday. What I'm saying to you is like this entire relationship, and I'm talking about all the parties here, for the audience listening to you and me talk, you and I talk, I mean, we are all puzzled. We've got a huge headache here because what comes across for all of us is just a complete lack of political will to put the country first. So how then do you, when I say you, I mean all of you, how then do you win our confidence, let alone each other, to get votes on Friday?
Look, I do believe that the most important is that all the other parties in the coalition is committed to this coalition. What we need to understand, that a motion of no confidence in Silje Brink is not a motion of no confidence in him as a person. A motion of no confidence against him is against the government of the day, a government that has been improving the realities in the city of Tshwane, a government that has been making hard decisions that is needed to move this government or to move this city forward. And that is what needs to continue, and that is what needs to be preserved, is a government that does not do things for personal gain of its own members, but one that will continue on the strides that we have been making.
So, just for clarity, in terms of the motion of no confidence, just help someone like myself and others who are not there. Does the ANC, if they've pushed forward that motion, do they have to give actual reasons why they're putting this motion of no confidence up for debate?
Look, we have engaged the office of the Speaker. Our political advice, our legal advice does state that this motion is illegal, And yes, according to our rules, number one, this motion is submitted as an urgent motion, so therefore they must provide urgency. They must be able to argue why it is so urgent that the motion can't be brought within the normal timelines of the council. Then they must further also state why it is so important to remove the executive mayor.
And they haven't.
Ultimately, there will be a vote.
And they've done that as yet, or they haven't yet done that before Friday?
The argument needs to be made on the council floor.
I understand that. Okay. Here's the last thing. Are you confident that you and your supporters in this multi-party coalition is able to withstand this ANC challenge, or let's call it a coup, for want of a better word?
I am confident, and our coalition partners is confident, that this coalition is the best option for the people of Tshwane, and we do believe that ultimately action and whatever internal review they are busy with will come to the same conclusion.
But are you confident that you've got the votes?
That's a difficult question to answer to any politician. We very seldom go into any council meeting confident that we have the vote, but we are confident that we are doing the right things.
Okay, let's leave it at that. We will follow that story on Friday. Rest assured, Jackie Hayes, thanks for your time. The City of Tshwane Multi-Party Government's Joint Caucus Leader. So there you are. Friday, a motion of no confidence tabled by the ANC to remove Mayor Cilliers Brink from that city. You have any thoughts on that one? What does that do for your pulse? Does it get your pulse rate racing even further? Or is it like, hey man, this is cool, this is exactly what I want, because they need to get rid of the mayor because of X, Y, and even more, right? 4:30. In fact, let's get the news headlines. Here's Majubi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garda. A very good afternoon. In your headlines, 3 suspects have been shot and killed in a shootout with the police in Richmond in KZN. Correctional Services Minister Pieter Groenewald says a probe has found that an inmate at the Goodwood prison in Cape Town was able to post a cell phone footage on a social media website because of poor supervision by officials. And North Korea has imported 24 rare Russian horses that are prized by the country's leader, Kim Jong-un. Details of these and other stories in your news at 5.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R21 southbound as roadworks reported with traffic restrictions before Olifantsfontein Road. So you're asked to expect delays and to allow for extra travel time for flight connections from the airport. The N12 westbound in Alberton has a crash reported at the R59 Reading interchange in Pretoria. Pretoria Street eastbound queuing between Hatfield and Cusonia Avenue, and the N1 northbound has a crash reported near Linwood Road. In KZN, the N3 westbound has a crash reported after the Pavilion Shopping Centre exit. The N2 northbound, an earlier stationary truck reported at Sibaya Drive exit has been cleared. The N3 eastbound has a stationary truck reported at Cliffdale, and the M13 in Pinetown has a crash reported on Fields Hill that's causing some delays. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Schoemanskloof has a crash between Goedeville and Crossroads. In Cape Town, Christian Barnard Street outbound has heavy traffic towards the N1 highway. Imam Haroon Road eastbound is slow moving between Claremont and Lansdowne. Albert Road eastbound is slow moving through Woodstock, and Komiki Road is queuing at Masiphumelele. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Right, to me, I want my rugby tickets.
Yeah, I saw that.
Must I ask Ibn Etzebeth?
Probably.
I mean, I'm asking you.
Listen, just talking about Ibn Etzebeth, he's been declared fit, and he will feature on the bench in Saturday's clash against New Zealand in Johannesburg. Etzebeth's presence means that Marco van Staden, who was initially named on the bench, misses out, and this offers the box specialist Lok Kaba for the starting combination of Peter Steph du Toit and Ruan Norkia. And should he get game time on Saturday, Etzebeth will play his 125th test, which will see him leapfrog Brian Habana Arena as the second most capped Springbok of all time. Meanwhile, the Boks have also released 4 players: Seven Kitchoff, Mani Lebok, Cannon Moodley, and Makazola Mapimpi for Currie Cup duty. In football, Lyle Foster could be set for a return to the English Premier League as he is reportedly at an advanced stage of talks with Ipswich Town for a transfer. With the 2024-25 championship season in full swing, Foster has started all 3 games, 2 wins and a draw without scoring under new manager Scott Parker. Ipswich are in the EPL, having become the only 5th team to earn back-to-back promotions from League One and the Championship, and they were runners-up in the 2nd tier to Leicester last season. In cricket, young South African cricketing protege Kwena Mapaga has described his historic Proteas debut as a career highlight as he became the youngest ever player to don the jersey in the first T20 international against the West Indies. The 18-year-old fast bowler has already made waves in the international arena, having represented South Africa under-19 at the 2022 under-19 World Cup, where he was just 15 years old. Also on his books of the SA20, Mapaga admits that there has been no big sense of achievement in his career to date than officially receiving his Proteas cap.
Yeah, no, I mean, being the youngest player to represent South Africa is definitely a great privilege and it's a great honor. It's something that I'm going to hold dear to my heart for a very long time. And yeah, I mean, it's an amazing feeling. It's something that I've been dreaming about my whole life, to represent the Proteas, and to be the youngest to do it just adds the cherry on top of the cake.
Well, despite only just entering the senior ranks, Mapaga showed his character as he adopted an aggressive approach from the onset, steaming in with a number of bounces at over 140 kilometers per hour. And the teenager says this forms part of his natural approach.
It's something that I really enjoy doing. I like being in the batsman's face. I like kind of creating a battle, even if there's no words involved. I like having a little stare down, a little battle that keeps me in the game, and it kind of lets them know that I'm not here to play around. So yeah, it's something that I enjoy doing, and it's quite a statement that I like to make.
In the meantime, Cricket South Africa and the Pakistan Cricket Board have today announced a T20 international series between the Proteas women and Pakistan from the 16th to the 20th of September. And following the conclusion of the series, the South African side will depart for the United Arab Emirates on the 21st of September to continue the preparations for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. Then finally, in boxing, the National Professional Boxing Promoters Association status was questioned during the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee of Sports, Arts and Culture meeting in Cape Town. And the Boxing South Africa board, led by Sfiso Shongwe, which has since been disbanded this morning, made its first appearance in front of the committee. This board was appointed by former Minister Zizi Godwa in May, and the NPBA last week released a statement where they communicated the outcomes of a court hearing which ordered BSA acting CEO Mandla Nhlaganizo to remain suspended, and all the decisions that he had taken since his reinstatement from December last year till to date to be declared null and void.
Also tell us on, I read something, or you explained something about the promotion, National Promotion Association. What are they called? Yeah, the NPBPA. Do you as BSA recognize that entity? Is it a legit entity? If yes, what is your views? If no, how do we deal with them? Because they are going to court under that umbrella, under that name, meaning they are legit. So take us through that. I'm actually inviting you. I'm jabbing you, keeping you in the ring, jabbing you until I want the members to punch.
Well, with that said, it's a wrap from my side. I'll have more in at the next hour.
Yeah, but it's a bit, don't go away. Let's start. I mean, that is a look. On the one hand, if he was going to be absent, and I know we spoke about Salman Murat also injured, that means that we're short of locks. But on the other hand, it was going to give them a chance to experiment. But having said that, they are playing the All Blacks. It's a huge boost that he's trained all day, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he's like the heartbeat of the Springboks. His physicality, you're thinking about the mauls, in the middle of the mauls, stopping the mauls, and also he's like an engine. He keeps going. So a player of his caliber, playing in the test against the All Blacks, definitely a boost for the South African team, as much as obviously you'd love to see these youngsters raising their hands to say I can also be in the national team.
And he's so tall. I tell you what, here's the thing to end with. For those of you who are nostalgic about football, I'm talking about football strikers. Remember Jimmy Joubert and his is that his name? And his nickname was Brixton Tower. Have I got that right? If I'm wrong, tell me. I mean, I'm getting nods here in the studio. It's like, yes, you know it. Brixton Tower, 6 foot tall. I tell you what, I think Evan's even taller than him. Absolutely. Okay, more sport in an hour.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1 hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Okay, we've got a fascinating take in our marketing branding feature coming up just now regarding, the Miss South Africa contestant who's now being part of the Miss Nigeria contest, but not about her, but certainly from a brand communication point of view. So look out for that. In the meantime, we have Makwe Masilela, the Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. Makwe, good chatting to you as always. So you've got two things, the yearly results from Bidcorp and then local and global markets.
Yes, Ashraf, afternoon to you and to your listeners. Remember, Bidcorp is a food services group which was unbundled from Bidvest in 2016, and the guys delivered an excellent performance against the backdrop of a turbulent and challenging world, and the share price reacted by going up by 4%. Their revenue was up 15%, overall financial performance, which is EBITDA, up 14%, profits and headline earnings per share up 15.5%, with dividends up 16%, and after reaching all-time highs yesterday, the JSE opened flat before turning negative, and globally markets are looking for fresh company and economic data for clues about the outlook for stocks, and Nvidia, a mega tech stock, will be watched closely when it reports later tonight to gauge the sustainability of the broader tech and AI trade. Stocks fluctuated ahead of the results, and according to Fitch Ratings, a significant increase in mpox cases and efforts to cap its spread in sub-Saharan Africa may weigh on economic activity and erode the fiscal metrics of affected countries, while prices continue to cool off due to persistent concerns over Chinese demand and an also elevated risk of broader economic slowdown, though losses were kept by supply risk in the Middle East and Libya. Brent crude is down 1% at $77 a barrel, and gold prices under pressure from a stronger dollar and uncertainty ahead of a key U.S. inflation report. Gold is down 1% at $2,495, platinum down 2.5% at $934, and U.S. markets are mainly flat and Europe is positive, but the JSE is down 0.7% with resources down almost 3%, industrials down 0.3%, but our financials are up 0.1%, and the rand fell almost 0.4% against the US dollar. It's now 17.78 and 23.49 against the pound and 19.76 against the euro.
All right, great talking to you, and we will catch up with you tomorrow, as always, Mark. We have another update from the markets coming up just after sport in about 45, 50 minutes. What does happen next is I will take your calls.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Okay, lots of people understandably have opinions about the things we've discussed. Lots of people have opinions about the issues that moves the national pulse. But let's pick up something that's pretty unusual.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Look, I'm just disturbed by a player who collapsed and ended up dying. You know, the concerning part about it is that it happens in football in most cases, and I just wish that authorities can look into this, because almost every year we have similar stories and authorities are not doing anything about this. It's concerning. They must look into this. I understand that players, they do have their medicals, and some players, it should be said that they do have heart complications that might not be detected when they are doing their medicals. And if you can notice, in Comrades Marathon, similar stories are happening. You find players ending up in hospitals because of running. So I wish authorities can look into this, because football players are dying. Thank you, Ashraf. This is Luz again, the Eastern Cape.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, look, I don't know if they're doing nothing. I mean, I think they're doing something. I'm not too sure what the regulations are. In this case, I understand this player, is he Uruguayan? I think it is, yeah, but certainly from South America. He just collapsed unchallenged on the field, which means that he's got some other condition. I do know football in particular and rugby, if you're concussed, you're off the pitch. Well, that's exactly what happened to Salman Muratu. He was the captain against the Australians. I think 18 minutes in, he got a knock to his head. He was off the pitch, and therefore I think there's like almost a few weeks compulsory period where you can't play. So there are protections. I don't know enough, and maybe your point is correct in reminding her to say, hey, have a conversation about just that. Okay, let's get to some of the callers. We've got Musa in Alberton. Hello.
Hi, Ashraf.
Yeah, Musa. Good talking to you.
Good. Ashraf, I heard you when you commented talking about potholes.
Yeah.
Relating to the audit report, which was announced.
Yeah.
But that has got, nothing to do with potholes. That deals with compliance. And we can't say, because your audit report is bad, that means it's because you're not doing what,
All right. Musa, I tell you what, I'm going to stop only because your line's really bad and I can't hear you, Musa. We really battling to hear you, okay? But I get the gist of what you're saying, which is the issue around audit or not clean audits, in this case here, unqualified audits, has got nothing to do with potholes. Now, I know that literally, but if you heard my comments, I'm speaking in images. I'm saying if they can't get their audits clear, don't expect them to get a whole lot of other things clear, and one of them would be potholes. That's really my point. I'm not saying there's a direct link every single day, but there's an indirect link that does talk about leadership. I'm sorry I couldn't actually take your call longer because we just could not hear you. But I can take your call, Henry in Harrismith. Hi.
Hey, Ashraf, how are you, man?
I'm very good. You sound very excited and chirpy and happy. Go ahead.
Man, listen, Maluta Tofu has never had a clean audit long time ago. Now, I thought that with this new dispensation, they will take out that weed, root that weed out and put new people there. These guys, I'm living in Maluta Tofu. I grew up here. I arrived here in 1969. So these guys have been carrying government money for quite a long time. So the intention, even now, the community has got an intention. People of Tiami, Kalanyoni, and Makhulukwe, they don't have electricity since last week. We had, transformer explosion. Last week they said that it doesn't have an oil, but we have been waiting for that oil for quite a long time. Now I think of organizing people and make a strike that will go to Malujapo and ask those people to go out and have new people in there. We've got a problem here, man.
Okay. Well. Let's see if we can make a note. I'm going to get Keys to just make a note of these type of concerns. Maybe we can speak to someone directly about that. Thanks for that call, Henry in Harry Smith. There's another call in, and we go around the country. Yeah, Muzi in Mpumalanga. Hello.
Hi, Ashraf.
Yeah. Hi. Good. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Ashraf. I just want to make a comment on the liberation of the country as far as it relates to the working class.
Okay. Go ahead.
I have been of the opinion and still am that South Africa's liberation has to come from the workplace, because we need to remember that Vasco da Gama was not a politician but a business person.
Mm-hmm.
So was Jan van Riebeck and even Cecil John Rose. They were investors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am worried about our politicians when every time that things have to change in this country, we are told about investors when colonization actually came because of them. I think workers have got to wake up and realize that if there is going to be liberation in this country, it's going to have to come from the workplace, because corporates are still continuing to exploit workers and they disrespect the laws in as far as they can. And the institutions like the CCMA have become very useless to a very large extent. And I think we're going to have to rethink and have a real big national debate about whether South Africans are liberated in as far as the workers are concerned.
All right, and just a quick one from you in terms of the workers would have to lead this change in the workplace. So explain how that will happen very quickly.
I think that question makes me having to declare that I am a member of a trade union. I'm actually the secretary of a trade union called Comeu. We advocate that at some point workers are gonna have to participate in the economy of the country by really co-owning the factors of production. But that's a very long debate that we may have on another day.
All right. Appreciate you owning up and telling us exactly your position as well. I mean, that's what we want. Well, maybe that long conversation on another day is what we will be having sometime soon. So thank you for that. Right. Okay. I'll try and get some of your voice notes in as well in a few minutes' time. But we're going to pick up on the issue that I think is really fascinating in terms of the media marketing feature we're going to do every day, every week around this time, once a week. Okay. And that's around the communication around the South African with the Mozambican and Nigerian connection, who's now contesting Miss Nigeria. But the backstory to understanding what happened next is important.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
So this is fascinating. So what we'll do, I can tell you this up front, what we're going to try and do every week around this time, once a week, have a feature on marketing and branding, which we're doing right now. We'll also do one on entrepreneurship and business strategy, which we did yesterday. We'll do something on growth leadership, and Dudim Swami said, Ashraf, I'll talk to you on growth leadership. So looking forward to that conversation sometime soon, and on some of the other big issues, including, of course, tech and innovation, right? But let's talk about this in terms of marketing. So we know the story about what's happened with Chidima Adetshina, contesting Miss South Africa, then withdrawing, and then now being a contestant to Miss Universe Nigeria, right? But Tlohi Nkwato has put together a piece that we thought was rather fascinating. She's the managing partner of Manaka Publicity. So appreciate you joining us here and connecting to the National Pulse.
Hi, Ashraf. Thank you so much for having me, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you. Much appreciated. So state your pitch. I mean, you have a certain position in terms of what happened next as opposed to what happened in South Africa that you'd like to share. Tell me.
So, yes. So, I mean, obviously, we all know the story about the Miss Nigeria, Miss Universe Nigeria, as well as Chidima Adetshina, who was the Miss SA hopeful, and what obviously happened with Home Affairs and the issues around her nationality. And I think what we wanted to do for newsjacking, and just to help clients understand it, is just to help them show how taking a specific trending topic could end really badly for an organization if you don't actually think of the pros and the cons of it. So, I mean, we obviously took a look at the interview that the national director did, and we thought, this could end really badly as far as diplomatic relations were concerned, and it could also really end badly for the reputation of the national director as well as Chidima. We approached it from that perspective to say, I mean, if you are going to successfully newsjack, you are required to give a very different perspective, a fresh perspective that nobody else had thought of, and they missed an opportunity to do that. Instead, they relied quite heavily on social media commentary and just pushing a narrative that the South African government was being xenophobic and was not willing to understand the situation without understanding the legal and ethical complications to the matter.
Okay, so what did you find? Because I mean, obviously, from where you are, you look at publicity, you look at communications and brand communication, and you look at obviously how one can leverage and to gain publicity for a brand and use people, legitimately so, but to certainly gain the publicity you need. So, what did you pick up from this that is so interesting?
So I think for me the first thing is that they have completely alienated the bilateral discussions. The bilateral discussions that we're going to have are completely alienated. So from a stakeholder perspective, with the council that probably sits in Nigeria has completely been alienated as far as the pageant is concerned. Reputationally, we have an issue where they are obviously not very strategic. So they potentially have gone and lost quite a bit of reputation amongst the pageant world. And I imagine that as they go into the Miss Universe contest, the global contest, the leg that they are going to stand on, which is quite unfounded, is also going to be it's going to be quite a bit of an issue for them, and it might nullify or potentially bias the pageant against what has happened. And I think another thing that was quite glaring for us is just, they lost control of the narrative and didn't rely on promoting the pageant, as it were, and promoting the diversity and ensuring that there was cohesion as far as relations, very strained relations that we have with Nigerians and the Nigerian nation. And so I think they lost control of that narrative and haven't been able to recover since then. If you've had a look at what's since taken place on social media, that it's essentially brought even more scrutiny to the pageant, with people trying to go and see what happens behind the scenes and what's really happening in the forefront of the pageant. So loss of control, they've alienated stakeholders, and they've essentially given themselves a bit of a negative perception as far as let me just push it to certain South Africans are concerned, but at a broader brand level, there is a bit of a negative perception around the owner as well as the pageant.
And the owner, I mean, in terms of the Miss Nigeria Universe pageant, I mean, what would you think would be his motive?
I think his motive, to be honest, was really self-promotion. I think he just really wanted to propel the Miss Nigeria contest to the forefront. Having done quite a bit of research with the team at Managa, we kind of tried to see how far back Miss Nigeria has obviously been participating in Miss World as well as Miss Universe contest, and we've only just seen them quite recently. And I think this was a really great opportunity that they thought they could seize, just to get the word out there and also get a bit of eyeballs to them. And they have, I imagine that they really have been able to drive some feedback and some visibility to them. But it's only just impressions as far as social media and web traffic is concerned. It's not from a sponsor perspective where people are saying, okay, this pageant particularly stands for something and we want to endorse them. Or it's not an investor coming in and saying, you know what, there are issues that are surrounding immigration and there are issues of legitimacy. I mean, this could be something that sits in the UN perspective, that could come in and say, we really like what you've done and we actually want to sponsor this. And they haven't been able to garner that. Now, I have to make it clear that I don't know the specific conversations that they're having, but from a just general understanding of relations, as well as how the brand has been perceived at the moment and how they have taken a bit of a knock, is that they have failed to do that. And this was an opportune moment that they really missed as far as just self-promoting themselves and really just taking the opportunity, Mr. Murray Bruce, in just making sure that he was getting a profile out there and people to see that Silverbird has specific entities under their belt.
Okay, here's the last thing, right? What do you make of Chidima Adechina's position to actually accept the invitation to contest Miss Universe Nigeria, coming literally like a week, if I'm not mistaken, after the Miss South Africa version of it, like that soon, that quickly, in terms of how that communicates her brand and what that does or doesn't do for her future?
There are quite a number of things, Ashraf, and it's a bit of a testy one. It needs a bit of time for us to measure and have a look. But preliminarily, I can say that, understanding that there is an ongoing investigation relating to her citizenship and her parents' naturalization. I think first of all is the issue of her understanding as purportedly a law student, is her understanding of the law. Secondly, is her interest as far as where there isn't a very clear understanding of where her ethics and her values sit, because this looks very self-serving in that you're completely going to disregard what the law is saying, and you're then going to lie based on what Murray said that she told her. So ethically, she's looking a little shaky at the moment, and if she does, because the position that she wants to use at the Miss Universe competition is inclusion and getting acceptance across borders, and this doesn't sit really well if you don't respect the laws of countries and you are going to go after this crown to serve your ambition and knowingly impeding on the laws of a country. So I think where this stands really is that should she want to pursue a career in law or to act as social impact, it would be very difficult because, she would have been seen as a bit of a liar or as a bit disingenuous. And you'll know this from many other cases and from different ones where somebody is perceived in a specific light. Take Monica Lewinsky, for instance. Monica has suffered a very bad reputation over something that happened to her, where she was monstered over something that happened to her. And in this case as well, it's going to be a very similar thing, that even though the Department of Home Affairs has gone and said that she was a child and there's a possibility that she can be exonerated of this, she allowed her ambition to get the better of her and then went ahead and said, this doesn't matter, I'm going after this crown under any circumstances and I'm going to do it. And I don't think that she would have a very good career as far as the legal fraternity is concerned.
And that's where we're going to pause it and see what finally happens. We pause as she advances her position for now, but not just her, the Miss Nigeria, Miss Universe Nigeria. It's all very, very complicated. Tlogi Ngwato, the founder and managing partner of Manaka Publicity, appreciate you giving off your time. Right, more to come on some of the biggest issues, including that conversation we had earlier on today. If you remember, we had the representative from the MK Party's Youth League, effectively, and they've issued a statement suggesting they're very concerned about the pronouncement from somebody, and then they said Julius Malema, the EFF, after Floyd Shivambu had moved to the MK Party, and they're concerned what that means for their own unity in terms of that progressive caucus. So we'll get another take on that after the news, which is right now with Greg Hose.
Thank you, Ashraf. 3 suspects killed in KZN shootout in North Korea imports rare Russian horses. Good day to you. 3 suspects have been killed in a shootout with members of a private security company in Richmond in KwaZulu-Natal. Police spokesperson Robin Chaunda says believed that the suspects stole cattle and were found by community members in the process of slaughtering the cattle before they fled the scene. It's further alleged that the private security traced the suspects to a house and a shootout ensued. Chaunda says the suspects are believed to be linked to other violent crimes and stock theft cases.
It is reported that 3 suspects stole cattle at Nhlakoza area and were found by community members when they were in the process of slaughtering the cattle. It is also reported that suspect fired shots before fleeing from the scene, abandoning their vehicle. Another report indicated that a few hours later, private security guards spotted 3 men standing next to a sedan at a farm in mid-Ilovo, and when they approached them, fired several shots as they sped off. A security guard reportedly sustained gunshot injuries to the arm and leg. The suspect abandoned their vehicle and fled on foot. All 3 suspects were shot and killed during the shootout.
The Correctional Services Minister Peter Groenewald says a probe has found that an inmate at the Goodwood prison in Cape Town was able to post cell phone footage on a social media website because of poor supervision by officials. He was answering questions in the National Assembly. Baldface Banks posted a video of himself on TikTok talking about the comfortable life he's having in prison. The minister says an extensive probe was conducted into the matter.
And further investigation indicates that these videos inside the cell and in the courtyard were recorded owing to poor supervision by officials. The inmate was charged, degraded, and immediately transferred to a maximum facility.
Minister Groenewald says disciplinary action was also launched against 6 officials.
All 6 members are formally charged. 2 out of the 6 are finalized, namely the head of the centre and acting unit manager, and 4 are still in process.
Close to 3/4 of municipalities in KwaZulu-Natal, 39 out of 54, have received unqualified audit reports from the Auditor General for the 2022-23 financial year. However, there were findings of material irregularities in some cases. The Umlalazi municipality in Mtanzuni has now joined 3 other local authorities to have received clean audit reports. The traditional leadership of the Batlako Balima near Rustenburg in the northwest has made its way into the shaft of the Horizon Chrome mine. They're expected to listen to the demands of about 150 workers who've staged a sit-in underground. Workers are demanding a wage hike and better working conditions. Kumal Milanzi is one of the workers who's been interacting with stakeholders on the surface regarding the ongoing strike.
The management does not want to meet their requirements, so the management said to them he rather close the tuck shop rather than giving them what they want. So they are seated there, and the management denied to give them food and sanitary towels for women, and the hotel was closed. So I don't know what is the situation right now, whether the employees are well or what.
North Korea has imported 24 rare Russian horses that are prized by the country's leader Kim Jong-un. The BBC's Nikki Bristow has the story.
The Orlov trotter was developed by a Russian count in the 18th century. They're known for their beauty and elegance. Despite North Korea's continuing economic difficulties, it's bought a number of these expensive horses from Russia over recent years. Kim Jong-un is known to be a fan. He was filmed riding a white Orlov in the snow of Mount Pektu, North Korea's highest mountain, 5 years ago. The horse helped give Mr. Kim the appearance of power in a country where the image of its leader is paramount.
Top stories that 3 suspects have been killed in a shootout with members of a private security company at Richmond in KZN. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Goes.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Paralympic organisers count down to Paris opening ceremony. Eben Itzebeth, the boost to the Springboks, and Mackenzie dissolves Boxing South Africa board as he backtracks on a court battle. More details at 5:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. SAFM. Guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound has heavy traffic towards Boyson's Road exit. Kleurkop Road eastbound has a crash reported near Sierfontein Avenue. The N1 northbound in Midrand has a crash before the Allendale Road exit, and the N1 southbound in Pretoria has a crash at the R21 highway. In KZN, rain across parts of Durban, so please reduce speeds and drive with absolute care. The M7 is queuing at the N2 highway. The M13 in Pinetown has a crash reported on Fields Hill. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Skumanskloof has a crash between Goedeville and Crossroads. In Cape Town, Old Oak Road in Brackenfell has a crash at the N1 highway. Stellenbosch Arterial Road eastbound in Kells River, slow moving towards Nooiensfontein Road. Valhalla Drive southbound is queuing through Epping, and Jan Smuts Drive southbound in Athlone, queuing towards Kromboom Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
The Buccaneers are highly against anything that will prevent them from getting to the final as they chase their 3rd consecutive title. But the citizens are on a mission to spoil that party. This is the 2nd leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Defending champs Orlando Pirates FC tackle Cape Town City FC on Saturday, 31 August at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's Elimination Week and the bottom 6 must bake their ultimate cookie and milkshake pairing. It's a match made in heaven, but will they perfect their flavor combinations under pressure? Take part in the weekly viewers competition and stand a chance of winning a classic stand mixer to the value of 10,000 Rand. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7. Repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
I tell you what, I'm just thinking about this as I talk. Did you watch the documentary on the family of Salman Murad? Now, the only reason I'm bringing it up because it was a fascinating documentary flighted last night, okay, and it really it effectively traces the family history coming from Paul, right? Now, I'm not going to talk about that. It's called The Unbroken Line, the story of the Murad family. But I will say this much, okay, that the story is fascinating in terms of how steeped in rugby is that family, okay. And what got me thinking about this is, you can't believe how many South African sporting families in the days of apartheid were established in their own sport. For example, my family, Gardas, they have a history in cricket. I promise you, anywhere I go in the country, you link it to my surname, it's cricket. But like that, there could be others, because they showed examples of Dan Kleike coming from the Eastern Cape, their families, his families, and wherever you go, football, rugby, cricket, this notion, in apartheid South Africa, that there was such a divide that the black communities hardly played much sport or didn't have a legacy. And then you find, like the Salman Murad example, that actually these guys were rugby crazy. And I could say ditto, I would think, for every other sporting code in this divided country. So when I know many people have written about, forgotten heroes and across the divides of South African sport, when we do write and read about them, pay attention to them, make an effort to fully understand just how much these sporting families have done to uphold sport in apartheid South Africa, in spite of apartheid. That really is the issue. Right, let's talk about the MK Party Youth League, right? So, this, we chatted about this early on. We spoke to the MK Party Youth leader that's in Kateko, in Kabela. And they raised some issues concerning what may happen to the Progressive Caucus in the light of pronouncements made by Julius Malema, in the light of Floyd Shivambu's, and I'll say this again, with the political transfer of the season. So we thought, let's get another take on this issue with Inkosi Kulole Nyembezi, who is a political analyst. Appreciate your time, and you're connecting to us now on the National Pulse. Hi.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Right. So what we'll do first, I'm going to play two of the clips that we had with the conversation we had early on, and you can listen to the full conversation on a podcast. It's been tweeted out as well, but go to safm.coza to find it. Okay. So in that first clip, Nkateko Nkabela speaks about the party leader. The league, that's the youth league, is not particularly impressed with.
Look, it's pretty clear which leader has been on a heartbreak tour. He is the leader of the Red Berets, so it goes without saying that we're referring to Julius Malema.
Okay, so what is Malema saying that so concerns you?
It's concerning because not only is he attacking certain individuals who have chosen to make individual choices that benefit the movement and the revolution, but he's also gunning after Controversies, which in true essence have nothing to do with the issues that he's referring to. So for us as the Youth League, we are of the notion that as a true leader, he should be focusing on the pursuit of the Progressive Charter and most importantly, the unification of black people instead of being divisive, because that's not what a true leader does.
Interesting thought about a true leader. Well, I mean, she continued and then spoke about being on the same page and consulting with their principals being the MK party leadership.
Look, of course, we are definitely concerned. Otherwise, we wouldn't have issued a statement. I mean, it's redundant for us not to issue a statement if we're not affected or worried about this. What we're simply saying is that we're cautioning not necessarily only Julius Malema, but all parties involved, including ours, that look, guys, we understand that everybody has their own issues. However, can we keep focus at the greater and bigger picture, which is to not only achieve economic freedom in our lifetime, but also it has to deal with land restitution and redistribution to the rightful owners of the land.
Have you approached, your principles within the MK party?
Pardon?
Have you approached your principles, your leadership within the MK party itself?
Yes, we have. We didn't just issue this statement before engaging them, and we're all on the same page.
Well, all on the same page, but certainly clearly the Progressive Caucus are not on the same page, and therefore the concerns from the MK party youth leadership. Right, so we do then have Nkosi Kulule with me, Nkosi Kulule Niembezi, right? So what do you make firstly of what you've just heard?
Thank you very much. It's just palace politics, because the country has got bigger challenges to deal with. And in the wake of the outcome of the May 29 elections, political parties should be focusing on a way forward to build the future for all South Africans. And if the Youth League of MK was concerned about that, as they say they are, then they should not be paying attention on palace politics, things that are petty. They should be putting on the agenda what is central that is going to take South Africans forward.
Okay, but clearly their focus is, they saying, without mentioning all the word, that Julius Malema in particular has been making pronouncements particularly against, insinuations against, the MK party, which doesn't augur well for the Progressive Caucus. And their biggest concern from a national point of view is to try and uplift the plight of black people. And they're saying this actually undermines that. Do they not have a point?
They do have a point. It is their feelings. It is their way of looking at things. And if they were taking a leadership role, central role in focusing the nation on what are the priorities, they should be talking about the priorities. Malema has a right to speak about what he feels. And in the natural course of things, when you have some members defecting from your party and you are surprised, like any human being, you would speak about those things. But I mean, none of what he has said seems to be against the law, to be against the spirit of that Progressive Caucus. And it's okay to ventilate one's feelings, because I think Malema was speaking from the feelings point of view. Mm-hmm. But the point is this: if they then say that we need to be doing what is ABC, that is what they are supposed to be talking about. Because at the end of the day, when you read the statement, when you finish hearing the conversation in the interview, you can then ask yourself, so what? What's the way forward? And you wouldn't get answers to that.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I felt, and I said this in the conversation I had earlier on, that to expect Malema to say anything different is rather naive. You've lost, in football terms, you've lost a star player in your team going to the opposition team. You play in the same league, and sometimes you collaborate, but like really, you don't want to lose that player. What do? Just smile and say, well done? You're clearly going to try and re-establish your preeminence if ever there was, isn't it?
Yes, and if we can take the debate at another higher level, we would say we should be cheering as South Africans that this freedom of association we have, it is indeed accompanied on the other side of the palm by freedom of disassociation. And so when there is this political realignment and some members feel that they want to disassociate it from their previous affiliation and they can do so without fear of being harmed, that is what we should be cheering for.
Okay.
And I think that is what is missing in that statement.
So that's the positive part, that people can swap parties, move across to another party without any hindrance, and that's significant, right? Having said that, do they not have a point that in fact the crossing over of Floyd Shivambu to the MK party and Malema's pronouncements thereafter, besides the first day pronouncements, which are very, very conciliatory, the pronouncements thereafter may in fact serve to, if not weaken the EFF, but it may certainly weaken the Progressive Caucus if we think of the caucus as a combination of those two of the dominant parties. So that may be weakened.
I think that's where they might be missing a point in terms of looking at things as a zero-sum game. Shivambu has left EFF to join MK party. And so that is the same WhatsApp group if they are talking about this Progressive Caucus. So his contributions should still benefit the Progressive Caucus if it was not just a matter of us and them and clinging to personalities and talking about palace politics. So I think that talk is really an elementary view of things. It's a kindergarten view of things in light of what is happening in the national politics.
All right, just the last thing in the minute we have remaining. What are your thoughts about not just this example, but the example of now the ANC and the Action SA, erstwhile enemies now coming together to effect change in the leadership in the city of Joburg, and now trying to potentially do the same thing in the city of Tshwane, meaning that it is so complex. You have different political parties. On the one hand, the Action SA is not part of this ANC coalition or GNU, but they are at city level. The DA and the NC are friends at national level, but they are arguing with each other within the cities. What do we make of all of that?
I think it's a positive thing. 30 years in our democracy, the electorate is showing that they don't want one dominant party in the political arena. So when they give a little piece to each of these political parties, the expectation is that they must all work together. And what we are seeing is something to be commended.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Something to be commended. Whether all of that can be sustained, I do find it quite fascinating. Just watching the different political parties. What is it? Friends on a Monday, arguing on a Tuesday, enemies on a Wednesday, reconciling on a Thursday, something along that line, and then battling it out maybe over the weekend when the Sunday papers come out. It's just fascinating, but it really does move the national pulse. So thank you for your time, Nkosi Kulule Nyembezi. Appreciate that, and we'll have your conversation up as a podcast ASAP.
They say first touch in football is very key. That's exactly what First Touch ladies want to display to grab a spot in the top 5. But UWC is onto something different. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. First Touch Ladies FC versus the University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday 1 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game. Welcome to
to the team, Andile.
Thank you.
What will be your first order of business?
Well, ensuring our greatest assets are taken care of.
Our vehicle fleet?
No, our employees. You see, I want them to feel confident in our company's employee benefits, and Old Mutual Corporate is perfect for that. They take care of everything, from retirement benefits to health and group risk solutions, consulting, and more. Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Insurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
X at SFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, let's do this. Let me take some calls because I know people wanting to express themselves all around the country. And Mark wants to pick up on the issue of the workers. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Ashraf. I just wanted to say, in terms of the workers owning the production, in South Africa, in one sense, they really do, because the pension funds and the various monies controlled by the unions are some of the largest investors in the JSE. So maybe a new way of thinking about what the means of production ownership means, and how workers can influence that.
I think it's a good point that you raised. The question is how much of that, even that ownership, filters down again to the workers or the leadership of these funds appointed by the workers. Mark, thanks for that. Certainly got me thinking about that one. Absolutely. Right, let's get to some of the voice notes that you've put in. And, we spoke about the mayor. Well, here's another one on the mayor.
Mr. Garda, I think us as the citizens, we must be allowed to vote a mayor of our choice. Not that the political party must choose a mayor for us. No, that is wrong. To avoid all this vote of no confidence, if we vote the mayor as a citizen, I think this thing can be right. This is Bongani from Chaswet, will be that is.
Thanks for that, Bongani. Well, that issue comes up at least once a year. Direct representation, direct vote. Because we can't do that. We can't vote a mayor in directly. We can't even vote a president in directly. We vote for a political party, and the majority party chooses a president, right? Would you want to see that changed? Voting for the president directly, or voting for the mayor and recalling the mayor directly. Don't leave it to the politicians in parliament to do just that.
EFF. It's so funny. Your speaker Ashraf is busy worried about the EFF, whilst the motion of no confidence is being tabled by the ANC. Her concern is the EFF, not ANC, the ones who are about to table a motion of no confidence. Let's play the ball, not the man. She's busy, looking at something that she shouldn't be focusing on, which is the EFF. Focus on the ANC, your partners in the GNU. If you can focus and work this thing out with the ANC, there won't be any motion of no confidence. EFF is not in government. Thank you. This is Luzuk.
Well, there we are. We should get you to caucus in Parliament, in the legislature with them in Pretoria, Tswane. You're right. I think she brought up the EFF because of she was basically warning Action SA, don't do any deals with the EFF because ANC, EFF are together. But you are right. The bigger issues, they need to focus on how they can fit in the deal together, right? Here's another one on Herman Mashaba.
Hey, Ashraf, I think the DA is just missing the point here. They screwed Herman Mashaba over with that moonshot Dubulinyanga thing. And he was overshadowed and he lost a lot of votes. And Herman has actually recalculated and saw the DA for what it is. And obviously now he's going to work with the ANC, and I think that's just fine. He must just stop pronouncing that he will never work with the ANC because there are no permanent enemies in politics. Herman Mashaba. Thanks, Spongy here.
Well, we certainly know that, and I agree with you. I think that's exactly the point. They had an ally in Herman Mashaba, and that ally, they lost that ally after what happened with that moonshot back then. I chatted to him here and then. He was clearly disappointed. Absolutely. Okay, Lorraine, I think it is in KZN. Hi.
Hi, how are you? I'm very good. Good afternoon to you guys.
Right, go ahead. What's your point?
I'm just curious to know from the listeners who might have read, because what I saw is very scant. There's no positive message you're getting out of there. The debate between Vodacom and the young man, the please call me gentleman?
Yes.
Seems to have been there some outcome, but if somebody could just call SAFM and tell us what they know, because I'm not getting much from that blog. Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye, Lorraine. Effectively sending us a please call me. Okay, got that. Okay, made a note. I've told Temba, I'm signaling to Keys and Temba to say, hey, just make notes here. Let's pick up on that. What has happened around that? I mean, a few weeks ago, something had happened. Settlement, no settlement. I don't know. Just it's an ongoing story, right? Here's another.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. With the caller calling for Minister Thembisi Milani to step aside, I think she must resign, not step aside. Because according to the ANC resolution, you step aside when you are formally charged. But the minister here must resign. We can't have a minister of justice embroiled in a serious allegation of corruption in the VBS saga. So this Nyolen Mafefel Pop.
Okay, there we are. Thank you. But the question is, when do you resign? I mean, do you resign now? Do you resign if there's proof that suggests that you've done wrongdoing? Or do you just base it on rumors and speculation, as many people appear to be doing?
Good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and the production team. According to my little knowledge of the step-aside rule of the ANC is that it is applied when a person is formally charged. By this, I don't mean the inconsistency that occurs in the same step-aside rule, because sometimes I have a feeling that it has more to do with factions. I thank you, Patricolo Emondi.
Well, my view is similar to yours. That's my understanding, that you have to be, otherwise the problem is if with ANC you have to be charged. If not, can you imagine just about every day somebody could spark off a rumor about someone, and then must they resign every single day or step aside every single day? I mean, that's not practical, that's not possible, isn't it? KD in the Northern Cape, hi.
Hello, Ashraf and the listeners.
Yeah, hi, go ahead, what's your point?
Yes, I was listening to this lady about this page, and no, what I want to say is this. I don't think that you should look at what the lady has done from a legal perspective alone. That, in fact, what she has done outweighs any legality, because you have what is being called preliminary findings, which have been assumed as final in South Africa. So from that perspective, the decision that she took to join the Nigerian pageant or program is valid, because she also has her own reasons morally to say, but even if I were to be accepted in South Africa legally, the assumption of the public, of the South African people, is that I don't belong there. There she feels that she belongs.
Well, I think the conversation is not about belonging. I mean, you can't just change who you belong in 1 week because there's an argument against you. I'm going to leave it at that because there's not enough time. But you can't just swap and say, I'm not saying don't ever swap, but how do you just change a whole emotional, mental connection, an umbilical cord? Not in the literal sense, you know what I mean, in 1 week. Something has to give. But I mean, the focus of the conversation we had was almost to a degree less about the person, but more about the management of the Miss Universe Nigeria and how they effectively were opportunistic in putting their competition very much top of the agenda, which they definitely did. Here's Greg Host, it's 5:30.
Quick look at the headlines of this half-hour. President Ramaphosa says government will ensure that new partnerships between the state and the private sector are centered on job creation. 3 suspects have been killed in a shootout with members of a private security company at Richmond in KZN. And according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, South African businessman Johan Rupert is now Africa's richest person. There's a full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 northbound has a stationary vehicle before Buccleuch interchange. The N3 southbound in Alexandra has a stationary truck before London Road. The N12 westbound in Alberton is slow moving towards Voortrekker Road. The N1 northbound in Centurion is queuing towards Old Johannesburg Road. In Pretoria, Francis Bard Street, eastbound, has a truck crash before the N1 highway. The road's closed, causing heavy delays. Pretoria Street has heavy traffic between Hatfield and Casonia Avenue, and Eskiampatleli Drive northbound has delays towards Mabopane Highway. In KZN, the N2 northbound, an earlier crash after Spaghetti Junction has been cleared. The N2 southbound has a crash after the M41 Gateway exit. The N3 is queuing on the link to the N2 north at Spaghetti Junction. The N2 southbound queuing towards the M7 highway. The M13 westbound in Pinetown has a crash on Fields Hill, and the R102 southbound slow moving near Old North Coast Road. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Schoemanskloof has a crash reported between Goedeville and Crossroads. In Cape Town City takes on Orlando Pirates in the MTN 8 semi-final clash at Cape Town Stadium. Kickoff is at 6 o'clock, so expect delays on local routes. The N2 outbound is slow moving towards Bunga Avenue. The N7 Jakes Hadville Drive southbound queuing towards the N2 highway. The M5 northbound is slow moving towards the N1 Kuberg interchange, and the N1 outbound is slow moving towards the elevated freeway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Right, to me, it was snowing in Cape Town this morning at Table Mountain, but there's a game on tonight. But you want to talk about the Paralympics first?
Yes, there's a game on that is actually going to start in less than 30 minutes. But let's start off with the Paralympics. Also happening today, it's all systems go, and the organizers are expecting a spectacular opening ceremony tonight. In the tournament's history, it will be for the first time that the opening will be outside a stadium. Team South Africa is going to be led by track athlete Mpumelelo Mhlongo and swimmer Kat Swanepoel as the country's flag bearers, and you can catch that opening ceremony from 8 p.m. this evening. And talking about the MTN 8 semi-finals, Orlando Pirates and Cape Town City are preparing themselves for their clash down in Cape Town, and it's going to get underway at 6 p.m. and there's also another one at 7 p.m. where Stellenbosch FC are facing Mamelodi Sundowns in the first of the MTN 8 semi-final, and coach Steve Barker says that he's quite excited about the encounters and wants to go there with a positive attitude. Still staying with football, Lyle Foster could be set for a return to the English Premier League, as he is reportedly at an advanced stage of talks with Ipswich Town for a transfer. With the 2024-25 championship season in full swing, Foster has started all 3 games, 2 wins and a draw, without scoring under new manager Scott Parker. Ipswich are in the EPL, having become only the 5th team to earn back-to-back promotions from League One and the Championship, and they were runners-up in the 2nd tier to Leicester City last season. In rugby, Springbok lock Eben Etzebeth has been declared fit and will feature on the bench in Saturday's clash against New Zealand, Johannesburg. Etzebeth's presence means that Marco van Staden, who was initially named on the bench, misses out, and it also offers the combination of Peter Steph du Toit and Ruan Norkia. And should Eben play this weekend, he will be playing his 125th test, which will see him leapfrog Brian Habana as the 2nd most capped Springbok of all time. Meanwhile, the Boks have also released 4 players, Stephen Ketchoff, Mane Lebok, and Kenneth Moody and Makazola Mapimpi for the Currie Cup duty. Then in cricket, young South African cricketing protege Gwena Mapaga has described his historic Proteas debut as a career highlight, as he became the youngest ever player to don the jersey in the first T20 international against the West Indies. The 18-year-old fast bowler has already made waves in the international arena, having represented South Africa under-19 at the 2022 Under-19 World Cup when he was just 15 years old, before lighting up the 2024 edition on home soil and also making his Indian Premier League debut earlier this year. Meanwhile, Cricket South Africa and the Pakistan Cricket Board have today announced a T20 international series between the Proteas women and Pakistan from the 16th to the 20th of September. And following the conclusion of the series, South Africa will then leave for United Arab Emirates on the 21st of September to continue the preparations for the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. And then finally, in boxing, Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie has dissolved the Boxing South Africa board with immediate effect, deciding against spending more money on a court case that or to keep them in office rather, that appeared to be winnable. Now, McKenzie's decision came after BSA appeared before Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture, where the regulators just highlighted the costs that were misused. And BSA, which governs a professional body in the country, is funded by government, and a new board is appointed every 3 years. And this is the second time since December the new BSA board has been dissolved.
And the question that you ask is so pertinent, but I want to assure you, in 21 days, I will come back with an action report, not of what I'm going to do, but of what I have done between now and that 21 days. The report that you'll get will be a report that speaks to consequence management. It will be a report that speaks to people being arrested. It will be a report that speaks to what is the future of boxing in this country. I am not going to take the fall for corrupt people, me. That's what I'm never going to do. Or incompetent people. You can't have a phone bill for 600,000 rand. You can't have those. Those are funny things.
That's it. It is a wrap from my side. More on other sports tomorrow. Actually, I'm back again. I'm back again at 7 p.m. for the
Are you hosting the show tonight?
Yeah.
What are you having, quickly?
We're talking all things boxing. What is happening with Boxing South Africa? And also just looking at the MTN 8.
All I can tell you is 600,000 rands for a telephone bill. Gaten is right. Have they never heard of Please Call Me? Something's just strange. Okay, enjoy your show. Top Sport, 7 to 8 to me. I'll be listening. I think I will, right?
Alrighty, ke nna Tumeng Kgapele, Modimo.
Last year finalists Kabuyelo Masandawana trust that high-level focus will return them to the final. Meanwhile, Stellies plan to dismantle all of that and book the vital ticket to the last 22-man standing. This is the second leg of the MTN 8 semi-final. Stellenbosch FC clashes with Mamelodi Sundowns FC on Sunday, 1st September at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC 1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Welcome to the team, Andile.
Thank you.
What will be your first order of business?
Well, ensuring our greatest assets are taken care of.
Our vehicle fleet?
No, our employees. You see, I want them to feel confident in our company's employee benefits, and Old Mutual Corporate is perfect for that. They take care of everything, from retirement benefits to health and group risk solutions, consulting, and more.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Right, well, you need to make a note of this. These words matter to you, right? Skim Sam, Generations, The Legacy, and Uzalo. Now, the words that connect with them are royalty, classics, the stars, and drama. SABC 1 proudly brings you the 7th Royalty Soapy Awards, awarding the excellence of the soapies across all of Mzansi's broadcasters. Now, you can tune in to watch it for the glitz and the glam of broadcasting this Saturday, 31st of August, from 8 p.m. only on SABC 1, Mzansi for sure.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, Jimmy Moya hosts the SAFM market update as well. The big one comes up after 6. But Jimmy, good chatting to you. For now, let's talk about moving markets today.
Good evening, Ashraf. Good evening to our listeners. Markets have had a red day today. We got some results from Bidcorp, and we're going to be speaking to Bidcorp a little later on around those numbers. Very impressive set of numbers. The share price was up more than 4% on the day's trade, but that's not the best news when we compare to how the rest of the markets performed, starting with Asian markets. Sydney was down about 1/3%, Hong Kong 1.1% in the red, Shanghai down 0.4%, the Nikkei in Tokyo was flat, but marginally in the red. Only all of the European markets were in the green. The CAC 40 in France was up about 1/3%, with the DAX in Germany up 0.75%. US markets at the moment are a bit of a mixed bag. The S&P and Nasdaq are both in the red. S&P down 0.4% and Nasdaq down 1%. The Dow Jones is up 0.1%. The SA Top 40 and the All Share didn't have the best day. Let's start with financials. They were the only positive sector in South African markets. They were up 0.1% or 0.15% to be exact. The industrials were down 0.3%. Resources massive hit, 2.5% in the red. As a result of that, the all share was down 2/3%, and the top 40 was down 0.75%, 0.75% in the red there. Currencies didn't fare much better there. Bitcoin back below $60,000 at 58,700. Ethereum 2,490, also in the red. The rand giving back all of its gains against, or most of its gains against the dollar at this stage, sitting at 17 rand 78. Not much different from yesterday though, so it is still quite strong in that respect. It has gained a bit of ground against the euro and the pound at 23 rand 48 against the pound and 19.79 against the euro. One Australian dollar will cost you 12 rand and 6 cents, roughly what it cost you this time yesterday. The price of gold, $2,508 an ounce, and the price of Brent crude, $78.18 a barrel. That's marginally below that $80 level. In terms of other things that we have coming up on the show, as I mentioned, that Bidcorp conversation, we've got a conversation with the CEO around that. We've got a conversation as part of the conversation we had about 2 weeks ago with regards to the allegations leveled against Akani fund administrators. They administer the Municipal Employees Pension Fund. It's a 25 billion rand pension fund, and they have been taken to the FSCA by the pension fund regarding having them removed as the administrators and having them having the fund rather placed under curatorship. We've received a request for a right of reply from Akani. We've got a conversation with the Akani Group chairman around responding to those allegations leveled by the legal representatives of the pension fund. So we're going to have that conversation and just see if we can get some more color around what's happening there. Wherever it relates to people's funds and people's pensions, we always take a greater interest in that because we always want to make sure that the right things are being done there. And then as part of doing the right things, every Wednesday or as many Wednesdays as possible that we can, we try to have conversations around things you need to be aware of, and we're looking at insurance scams as part of our Warning Wednesdays today. We're going to be looking at some insurance scams to avoid so that you don't get caught in them. And then, of course, it's Wednesday, so we've got a personal we've got a executive lounge segment, and I've got a conversation with a lady named Maggie Mojapelo for that. She's got quite an interesting career in the human resources space. She's been doing it for over 30 years. So that's what's coming up on the show, but we'll be back with a lot to look into a little later on.
Before I let you go, just a quick your soundbite answer to the markets masterclass. What is authorized representatives?
This is part of the Warning Wednesday feature that we have for as long as we've been trying to have this feature. We've been trying to drive home that when dealing with individuals, only deal with authorized individuals that are legally authorized to represent the companies that you engage with. In the same way, only deal with authorized companies themselves. So we always promote doing a bit of research around the companies you engage with, around who is representing that company. For example, if you're looking at a financial services firm that is registered with the FSCA, all authorized representatives have to be listed on the website of the FSCA as authorized representatives by their name. So it's very easy to validate if someone is authorized to represent a company or not, especially a financial company in South Africa.
Okay, now we have a Jimmy. Good chatting to you as always, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Right, the Chief Executive of the Nelson Mandela Museum, Dr. Vuyani Gweki Boy, will engage SAFM listeners on how the Nelson Mandela Museum is preserving, promoting and protecting the legacy of Nelson Mandela. He will further unpack the 2023-2024 audit outcome results, and you can tune into, two shows on SAFM, The Talking Point and this show, The National Pulse, to hear about the latest developments within the museum and the upcoming Liberation Heritage endeavor.
You are listening to The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
All right, let's take your calls. By the way, just talking about the National Pulse, right? Please do join the National Pulse WhatsApp channel. We're growing it day by day. I need you to join in. All you have to do is WhatsApp us 0614 104 107. Simple message, join channel, and Vusani will make sure that you will be a part of that. Okay, right. We're going to chat to Griselda Canada coming up shortly as part of our feature we called Winning. Right, but let's get to some of the other issues that we've touched on. Here we are. Let's see.
Ashraf, good afternoon, my man. This is Flores from the Western Cape. Ashraf, what I don't understand from the EFF and Julius Malema is that they call for the Minister of Justice to resign because of her alleged involvement in benefiting unlawfully from the VBS looting. The very same Julius and his Mikey, Floyd Savambo, were also fingered. But why don't they step down? Why don't they resign from politics or from their positions? This is so hypocritical, man. It is sad. It's sad. Have a great show, my friend. Bye.
Thank you. Don't think I need to add much to that because it says so much.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I think President Ramaphosa is still making the same mistake that he has done, so that ANC its weight is at 40%. He must just do the correct thing as the president, the person in charge, and release fire Thembi. Because then the next coming elections, ANC is going to go down. If he delays, the ANC is going to go down again.
Okay, well, I tell you what, it's so much more complicated than that. I have no doubt about that.
That young lady, she's talking nonsense. She doesn't know what she's talking about. We are talking about the person here, the key leader of the EFF, who betrayed the platform. He might not have betrayed, yes, the revolution, but they have betrayed the platform. And they even undermine us by telling us that there is no need of political parties to be many. Political parties have to come together. What does it mean? Because he's the one who go and open EFF. ASAP and PAC were there and then were advocating the same thing. Why do not close ranks, all of them? Because MK is the left political party to be open. Let's close the rank, all of them, and go back to PAC and ASAP and unite them. They must not take us for granted.
Well,
they're taking us for stupidity, these ones.
I hear that one. Don't take us for granted, but let's go back to what you said, ASAPO, PAC. Well, why don't you? Meaning, what is missing to go back to that idea of those political parties and their vision? Right, thanks for those voice notes. I'll see if I can play one or two more before we wrap up the show at 6. Let's get some calls. Albert in Mafeking, hi. Yeah, good talking to you. Go ahead. What's your point? Albert? No. I think we're battling to hear. Well, we can't. Actually, we can't hear him at all. Okay, let's see if we can get Keys to connect you back on as well. Let's see if we can do that in just a moment. In the meantime, there's a couple of more voice notes.
EFF. Okay. You know, it's so funny. Your speaker, Ashraf, is busy worried about the EFF, whilst the motion of no confidence is being tabled by the ANC. Her concern is the EFF, not ANC, the ones who are about to table a motion of no confidence. Let's play the ball, not the man. She's busy, looking at something that she shouldn't be focusing on, which is the EFF. Focus on the ANC, your partners, and the GNU. If you can focus and work this thing out with the ANC, there won't be any motion of no confidence. EFF is not in government. Thank you. This is Luzuko.
In fact, I'm sure I played that already, but fine. Maybe it needs to be amplified in terms of the points that you make. Okay, Albert, hopefully the call's better now. Albert, hello.
Yes, good evening.
Right, go ahead. Yeah, good. Go ahead, Albert.
Yes, I'm saying, Ashraf, I'm a bit unhappy with the way you handle certain calls when you disagree with the caller. I'll take you back to Monday. You remember during the apology of the mayor of Johannesburg, there's a caller towards the end of the show who was saying the mayor should resign.
Yeah.
And what came from you said, the mayor has apologized, let's move on. And I found it very unfair on that caller because you were in a way telling him how to feel towards what the mayor said, the apology. Whether the mayor had apologized or not, but I think it was unfair for you to say, he has apologized, let's move on. You were sort of dictating to how a listener should feel in relation to a certain issue. And I don't think that was fair on him. The fact that the mayor had apologized at that point does not necessarily mean that people had accepted the apology.
Okay, I hear you. I hear that. Look, I mean, I can't remember what happened on Monday because a lot of things happen, okay? And sometimes when we say, let's move on, okay, in fact, we need to take a spot break. So I'm just going to pause you for a second.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading lens enhancements. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Book online or call your nearest store today. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
They say first touch in football is very key. That's exactly what First Touch ladies want to display to grab a spot in the top 5. But UWC is onto something different. This is the Hollywood Men's Super League. Catch Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. First Touch Ladies FC versus the University of the Western Cape Ladies FC on Sunday 1 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The SAFM University Debate Challenge is back. Join us for the 1-hour debate on This Week Today with Oliver Dixon from 6 to 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August 2024 at the SABC in Bloemfontein. The University of the Free State will take on the Central University of Technology in what promises to be a nail-biting debate. The SAFM University Debate Challenge is an independent, non-partisan progressive initiative seeking to develop confident communicators, critical thinkers, and empowered global citizens. If you want to attend the debate, you can email info@safm.co.za. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. SAFM is celebrating its 88th birthday, and what better way to celebrate than with you, our loyal listener. We will be giving away 8,800 to 10 lucky listeners during the month of August. To stand a chance of winning, stay tuned to SAFM and SMS the keyword SAFM88 followed by your name to 41391 and listen to the station throughout the day where you could be selected as a winner. SMSs are charged at R1.50 per SMS. Free SMSs and SMS bundles do not apply.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
So Albert, we had to take the break. Just a quick one. I hear what you're saying. And you know, often my point, perhaps, maybe, I can't even quite remember, to say, look, not that I'm agreeing an apology is enough, but to say, okay, you want him out, but he has apologized, let's move on. And sometimes when I say let's move on, I may mean let's move on because of the show, like I'm doing now, because there's so much happening. I certainly can't dictate to people. If they want him to resign, they certainly can do so. They can agitate, as I know there's even now there are signatories in over 10,000 people still calling for the mayor to resign. So hopefully that clears it up to a degree, right? I wish to talk more, but there's just not enough time regarding that even now as we get to the end of the show, right? Okay, so here's a question. What words come to mind when you hear the titles Skim Sam, Generations and the Legacy, as well as Uzalo? Perhaps it's royalty, classics, the stars and drama. Now SABC One proudly brings you the 7th Royalty Soapy Awards, awarding the excellence in the soapies across all of Mzansi's broadcasters. Now to catch all of it all, get the glitz, the glamour and everything else, Saturday 31st of August, 8 p.m. only on SABC One, Mzansi for sure.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Well, we're going to wrap up the show. We've got 4 minutes to talk to a winner in the feature we call Winning. And my guest is Dr. Griselda Kananda, who's, Griselda, first of all, fellow presenter here on SAFM, but you have a new title. I'm going to ask you to introduce it because it connects to why we're talking to you. Hi.
Hi, Ashraf. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am now a product specialist, innovative product specialist for the Center for Diabetes and Endocrinology, known to many as the CDE.
Okay, so so in terms of the work that you do, then in terms of this new position, what would you be doing in the field of innovation?
Ashraf, I think one of the key objectives for me is to ensure that our focus is patient-centered, that we engage communities and provide education, because you and I know that every household is challenged by diabetes. Diabetes being the second biggest killer in South Africa. And it's a manageable chronic condition. And if more and more people are exposed to information, to knowledge, different choices and decisions would be made. And ensuring that we connect with advocacy organizations within the space, introduce innovation and technology to manage diabetes better, ensure that we engage and come up with webinars, simplified ways of taking research and evidence-based practice not only to healthcare professionals, but also ensuring that communities are aware of the trends.
And how will you measure the work that you do? Because it's complex and it's so important because it links to healthcare.
I think for me, the beauty about being a Griselda Kananda, I'll always draw strength from my advocacy on HIV, that through just educating and informing people, more and more people are now very confident in knowing what their status is. That amongst the many challenges with diabetes is that it's a silent condition. So I'm going to use not only the numbers of the people that follow me, but also just to ensure that where I'm positioned as a former broadcaster, as a personality in South Africa, that we simplify the knowledge and education around this condition. And how we measure is by ensuring that every surgery, every healthcare professional has some of the gadgets that are making it much easier to now manage these conditions. We're introducing, if I can quickly mention, Ashraf, that we're introducing 3 innovative ways in which we can manage disease. One is a fundoscopy camera that will reduce the queues that we see in our hospitals and clinics, with just taking a picture of one pupil, taking a picture of your eye. You're able to detect, they've now said 30 different ailments. And most of the ailments that we are challenged by in South Africa are silent conditions, but you only get to experience them when damage is done.
Yeah,
and the
wow.
second one is in assisting the many people who are struggling with weight gain, and at the core, at the center of weight gain, being the inability to manage their diabetes status. And so we've introduced what we call a CGM, which is a continuous glucose management device. It measures your sugar levels 24/7 wherever you are connected to your phone. So we're going innovative and connecting to artificial intelligence in ensuring that people have, we know that everybody has a cell phone. So if we can utilize these gadgets to manage conditions, to manage ill conditions in South Africa, would have won.
Okay.
And lastly, we're introducing a shake that will replace at least 1 or 2 meals a day. It comes in 3 different flavors, very tasty, and we believe that by also just reducing the intake of food, we definitely are going to see more and more people wanting to look leaner.
Well, your time's up, but it doesn't mean your life mission is up. Not at all. You do great things, and that's why we're talking to you in this feature they called Winning. Dr. Griselda Kananda, Innovative Product Specialist at the Center for Diabetes and Endocrinology. Great chatting to you, and I'm sure we'll have another chat sometime soon. I don't know when, but we're bound to do so, right? Well, that's the show. Thank you for being a part of it. The last 180 minutes, you were all connected to the National Pulse. Let's connect again tomorrow, and you can WhatsApp us to join us on the channel 0614 104 107. Let's get the news now. It's just gone 6 o'clock. Here's Greg Hose.
Thank you again, Ashraf. President speaks on job creation partnerships and 3 suspects killed in KZN shootout. Good evening. President Cyril Ramaphosa says government will ensure that new partnerships between the state and the private sector are centered on job creation. Government plans to join hands with the private sector to roll out new investments in energy, rail and port infrastructure. The President delivered the keynote address at the annual general meeting of Business Unity SA.
The second phase of our partnership with business requires a firm focus on the creation of jobs in our country. I